Twin Peaks. You know it's time to get the lab coat on. Twin Peaks. Yeah. Cause we out here being hella wrong. Twin Peaks. And you know we're never stopping till the hammer drop.
Yeah, no, I'm insane now. They drove me insane for sure.
I've been muted. Holy fuck, I'm so bad.
We can't hear Dispell? Oh no.
That's so funny. Fucking how many streams? 15 streams now, and it's like, oh my god. It's like it just never ends. Fucking oh my god. Chat missed me calling the Socialist Union of Workers, the marginalized, the oppressed into session. And nobody heard it. Nobody heard me call
Welcome
Salty
to the Salty Squid stream. Thank
Shut
you.
up.
This is my show now. My voice is the one that matters.
Shut up.
Clearly.
Nobody heard me call Salty Squid a dog of the Empire. Oh, that's brutal. That's so brutal.
Hey. It wouldn't be one of our shows if it wasn't scuffed, okay? This is the brand. We're
If it
on
wasn't
brand.
a little scuffed. If it wasn't just a little scuffed. Okay, what are we doing today? What have we got? I'm showing
We got some bozos.
We do got a couple of bozos. We got a couple of bozos in chat. Shout out to the bozos in chat. You're worthless and your opinion is fucking dog shit, and you're probably gonna get ignored this stream because I've got a lovely guest on stream and you don't. What do you say about
but my
that?
opinions are pretty dog shit as well, so it'll be fine.
What, because they're informed by chat?
No, my chat doesn't have any effect on me. You should know that.
Okay. Yeah, you don't pay them any mind. Okay, we're gonna be reviewing a debate. Everybody's been talking about this. Everybody's been saying
Very topical.
that debate is dead. That there's no reason to get into debates anymore. It's like it's bad. It's really, really bad. People are saying like, oh, it's just performative. These, all of like the midwit circle jerking assholes are passing around a book called Don't Talk About Politics by Sarah Stein Lubrano. Salty, what do you think is the over-under on her being Jewish?
Welcome to the chat, Duckbringer. That's an insane sentence. I don't know. You want my unironic opinion about debate? It used to be worth something. It sometimes can still be worth something in a very academic setting, but for the most part, what the internet has done to debate has completely bastardized it and turned it into a aura farming reward system where you have to try and score points, and it's not about coming to truth or actually gaining any wisdom or becoming a better person. It's just about trying to impress people on the internet for likes. That part of debate I fucking hate, and I'm glad that there's no more blood sports.
What the fuck? Yo, that's kind of based. That's kind of accurate. I completely... Hold on.
Radio stations.
Whoa, we're jumping the gun a little bit. I agree with you. I think if you're going to have, like, debates with people, no, keep it offline. Either stick to, I guess, just straight violence or, like, academic papers. We shouldn't have this in-between. This in-between is fucking us over.
Yeah, and also, like, know when to walk away. Like, you don't have to debate everything with everybody.
Good. Very good point. You don't need to debate everything with everybody. If I enlarge
You
this...
can just accept that they're an insane person and go about your day.
I'm not insane. I'm perfectly normal.
That's debatable.
You might... I texted my family this week. I was like, wow, this has been, like, a really brutal week. Like, I've developed a twitching eye from this week. And, I mean, one of my family members who I had yet to tell about this was like... I was just like, oh, like, this has been a really stressful week at work. And they're like, yeah, make sure that you're not going insane or whatever's left. I was like, thanks. Love that. Appreciate it. Thanks. Awesome.
I mean, you should try to go insane. It is the schizo revolution. Everything that they thought was happening is happening. The shadow cabal government is controlling our lives. The capitalists want us to be ground into paste so that they can feed the robots for their revolution. Like, everything that your schizo uncle thought was happening is happening. So you should go crazy.
We may owe the schizos an apology. By the way, that is the next stream. Next stream, we do owe the schizos an apology. That's what it's going to be about. All right, hold on. I'd like to read a couple portions from this book, Chapter 2, Don't Debate It, by Don't talk about politics. Sarah Stein Lubrano. By the way, if you look at her up, it doesn't explicitly state her ethnicity, but I'd be willing to bet that she's somewhere in between Italian and Gypsy. Now, I know Gypsy, for those across the pond, isn't exactly a great word, but welcome to intersectionality. The internet has allowed us to conjoin multiple spaces of different permissive rhetoric into a new environment.
All I'm saying, bro, you keep coming after the traveling people. My wife might hunt you down.
I like the Travelers. I'm fine with the Travelers, but the Travelers are Irish, not Romani. That's actually more racist, I think. Salty squid. To mix the two up. There's like a whole channel between these two people. How many people do you think can just like swim over that with a family? Doesn't happen. Only
Wait,
violence or
I'm
academic.
lost.
Hold on. We got Jez.
Guys always says.
I fucking thought I
only
turned
violence
off
or academic papers
the
is a
AI
bleak
yapping.
fucking
Oh my
idea.
god. Only violence or academic papers is a bleak idea? No, I don't think so. Because it would be consensual. Jizz ek. It would be consensual violence. It would be
Wait, no,
ritualized
Diz, that's
violence.
just the reality that we find ourselves in. You either accept the academic papers or the proletariat's going to do violence.
Oh my god, hold on. YouTube chat. Shout out to YouTube chat, who I usually am not a big fan of. We've got 2-Bit Dork in the YouTube chat spamming some stupid emotes that is not showing up in social stream. So if YouTube chat ever feels like they've got something to contribute, it might show up on social stream, it might not. And YouTube
Nobody
chat
on
is
YouTube has ever had anything positive to contribute to the universe ever.
That's why I do prefer Twitch chat. All right, let's get into a couple of these pages. Okay. On both sides of the Atlantic, a curious trend has emerged over the last few years. Politicians are dropping out of the debates. Admittedly, that might not be the first thing you remember about the debates in recent history. That will probably be ex-President Joe Biden dropping out of the US presidential election after appearing, well, old when debating President Donald Trump. But perhaps that excruciating moment tells us something about why politicians across the country and even around the world have been dodging debates in remarkable ways, left, right, and center. Trump refused to engage in any of the Republican primary debates. Then his rival Nikki Haley refused to attend any either. As soon as those televised debates were entirely cancelled, the Brookings Institute, a center-right think tank in the United States, reports that the number of debates in competitive U.S. Senate races declined in the years between 2010 and 2022. Meanwhile, across the ocean, dropping out of debates is hardly foreign to the UK political scene either. In Britain, during the September 2022 Conservative Party leadership contest, candidates pulled out of the last round without providing much in the way of explanation. Refusing to debate is not, shall we say, a great look. It might suggest a lack of confidence in one's ideas or an ability to perform under pressure. Yet today's politicians are turning away from debate in a way that would once have been suicidal and sacrilege. The question is, why? Before we can figure that out, we need to ask why we expect them to debate at all. It is, after all, possible to imagine a world where politicians could present their ideas without attacking each other. Open parentheses, the nerd in me wonders, perhaps they could simply compare policy positions with charts, close parentheses. This book was written by a quant. Thank you, Salty Squid, for the Tier 1 subscription. You've unlocked some of the best emotes that are on Twitch, including Bust Down Spell, including Pet the Spell, and there's a couple. Love Spell, I think, is another one.
Bro, what? That was not me. I'm gonna have to check my credit card. Somebody in China's fucking me over.
You should check with Pigeon. Advocates of debate argue that rigorous conflict help us to rebut false claims, policies, and ideas so that we can decide what to believe. Love that. In this way, debate is understood essentially as a wrestling competition between ideas. For the last half-century or so, debate has appeared to deliver on this democratic ideal, or at least to wield powerful influence. In the US, the history of modern political debate arguably began with the televised debate between John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon in September 1960. Analysis on this usually focuses on how Nixon's failure to look good — he had lost some weight owing to health problems — he wore bad makeup and generally lacked telegenic qualities, propelled Kennedy into an unexpected victory. At the same time, these televised debates seem incredibly persuasive. Half of all voters said that they were influenced by the Kennedy-Nixon debates, and 6% of voters claimed that the debate had been decisive factor in their choice. After this debate, politicians were increasingly expected to debate one another on live television if they wanted to have a chance of winning an election. It became a standard, vital process in the U.S. Larry Sabato, director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia, nostalgically notes, "I watched all 4 of the Kennedy-Nixon debates and you could hear a pin drop anywhere you went. Everybody was watching. In fact, over 7 million people watched, and the number of votes that year? 70 million. 70 million people watched, 70 million voted. Televised debates slowly spread across the world. Germany and Canada got theirs in the 1960s and France in the 1970s. Mexico had its first in the 1990s, oddly perhaps because of the long tradition of parliamentary debates, which only hit the UK in 2010, which Queeman does regularly, and he is spectacularly retarded for doing that. Like, literally just bleeding viewers. Like, I don't know. You want to get politically engaged, I guess that's what you do. I think that's a good enough background for today. For right now.
I don't know. I haven't watched a Queeman stream in like 8 months, so.
Something I need to get better with, like, moments of silence and pondering, but I like the structure that we've got on my stream. I think we might read a couple more of the pages later on, but I want to get to the debate, actually. Because I think there is a lot of value to being able to use silence effectively. Like, silence and words are edges of the same coin.
I don't know. I have all kinds of neurodivergence that stops me from being silent.
Right. Yes. That's kind of the point. When I have an article going on stream and I'm playing a game and I'm looking at chat, the purpose is kind of to make my mind leak out of my head. So either I say stupid shit that I regret and Twitch chat catches me on it, and I build up endurance, I guess, is the main thing. Salty Squid, can you see my screen? Senor Squid?
I can see your screen.
Yee! Yippee, Senor Squid! All right.
I can see the debate. I don't know if I can hear the debate. We'll see.
All right, let me know if you can hear the debate. Let's get this going.
Television and radio stations
I
of the
can hear
United
it.
States and their affiliated
I'm gonna
stations
turn it down slightly.
are proud to provide facilities.
All right, real quick.
Yeah.
So in the blue corner, we have Chad JFK, stopping nuclear war, hanging out with Marilyn Monroe, pretty guy from the Navy, gotta love that. And in the red corner, we have corrupt cuckboy Nixon, sad boy, gets on a helicopter, flies away and cries. All right, press play.
Accurate.
Of issues in the current political campaign by the 2 major candidates for the presidency. The candidates need no introduction. The Republican candidate, Vice President Richard
I did the
Nixon,
introduction.
and the Democratic candidate, Senator John F. Kennedy.
Doesn't he kind of look a little tweaked out? Like, JFK looked a little tweaked out there.
Oh, of course.
Is that not me? Okay.
According to
They're
rules
probably
set
both
by the
geeked out right now.
candidates themselves, each
Back when
man
the
will
coke
make an
was
opening
actually
statement
hitting,
of
the
approximately
60s.
8 minutes duration and a closing statement of approximately 3 minutes duration. In between, the candidates will answer or comment upon answers to questions.
Hold on, Dispell, we got an audio discrepancy in the chat.
No.
Can we get a better audio quality for the recording, please? Thanks. The past from the Unreasonable Request Committee. I don't know what the fuck that means, but it sounds like they can't hear the debate very well.
It sounds like the audio is from 1960. Is that what I'm getting?
I don't know. Are you trolling us, or is it because it sounds like that? Because there's nothing we can do about that, bro.
No, it's...
Oh my fucking god. Play the video.
Correspondence. In this, the first discussion in a series of 4 joint appearances, the subject matter...
They did
has
4
been
of these, which is
restricted
incredible.
to internal or domestic American matters. And now for the first opening statement by Senator
Donald Trump
John
could
F.
never.
Kennedy.
Mm-mm.
Smith, Nixon. In the election of 1860, Abraham Lincoln said the question was whether this nation could exist, half slave or half free. In the election of 1960, and with the world around us, the question is whether the world will exist, half slave or half free, whether it will move in the direction of freedom, in the direction of the road that we are taking, or whether it will move in the direction of slavery. I think it will depend in great measure upon what we do here in the United States, on the kind of society that we build, on the kind of strength that we maintain.
Maybe he's just stoic,
We discussed tonight domestic issues, but I would not want that to be any implication to be given that this does not involve directly our struggle with Mr. Khrushchev for survival. Mr. Khrushchev is in New York, and he maintains the communist offensive throughout the world because of the productive power of the Soviet Union itself. The Chinese communists have always had a large population, but they are important and dangerous now because they are mounting a major effort within their own country. The kind of country we have here, the kind of society we have, the kind of strength we build in the United States will be the defense of freedom. If we do well here, if we meet our obligations, if we're moving ahead, then I think freedom will be secure around the world. If we fail, then freedom fails. Therefore, I think the question before the American people is, are we doing as much as we can do? Are we as strong as we should be? Are we as strong as we must be if we're going to maintain our independence? And if we're going to maintain and hold out the hand of friendship to those who look to us for assistance, to those who look to us for survival? I should make it very clear that I do not think we're doing enough, that I am not satisfied as an American with the progress that we're making. This is a great country, but I think it could be a greater country. And this is a powerful country, but I think it could be a more powerful country. I'm not satisfied to have 50% of our steel mill capacity unused. I'm not
at least both these
satisfied when
men
the
can
United
come
States
together
had
on their
last
hatred
year
of communism.
the lowest rate of economic growth of any major industrialized society.
But I feel like Kennedy isn't saying he hates communism. What he's saying is the merits of America is the freedom in the industrial capacity, or the freedom has earned us an industrial capacity which is more virtuous. Meanwhile, the communist regime has a spectacular productive capacity, but it's been at the cost of despotism.
And I would say scoreboard, Dispell. Look at the scoreboard.
Okay, but like we've got hindsight, what, fucking 50 years later? Hindsight is 2020?
Hindsight is 50-50.
70 years later, actually? Almost?
So we had a good
In the
70
world.
years, is what you're saying?
I'm saying I think, because hold on, when was like the book 1984? Oh
No, I get you. You want me to put myself in the context of the 1960s and not in the context of the modern era.
yeah, 100%.
Fine.
I don't know. This is like a banger opening. He's like he's talking about preserving the freedoms of America, lending an assisting hand to other nations, and
He
comparing.
invoked Lincoln. That's like an automatic 10 points, I think.
That's a W. And actually, you know what I'm gonna say? The line Lincoln saying this nation cannot survive half a slave, half free, is really interesting. Because JFK is almost making an analogy to the communist system where the members of communist nations are slaves to production. While in America, at this time, we weren't exactly slaves to production, but we were free to consume. I mean, there's still the idea of wage slavery.
We also taxed the shit out of fucking billionaires, or there weren't billionaires, but we taxed the shit out of the wealthy and the 1% to fund all of that shit.
Yeah. There was a difference, this is almost like the epigee of the post-war America, where everybody has already come home. The suburbs have sort of cemented themselves. Eisenhower has already connected the nation and segregated neighborhoods and major cities with highways. And this speech, it's not saying, oh, America is racist, it's bad, it's wrong. It's talking about the good things and the potential for even better.
Yeah, it's trying to unite the nation.
Yeah. All right, let's continue.
Because economic growth means strength and vitality. It
Oh,
means
boy.
we're able to sustain our defenses. It means we're able to meet our commitments abroad.
This is Armory of Democracy talk.
I'm not satisfied when we have over $9 billion worth of food, some of it rotting, even though there is a hungry world, and even though 4 million Americans wait every month for a food package from the government, which averages 5 cents a day per individual. I saw cases in West Virginia, here in the United States, where children took home part of their school lunch in order to feed their families, because I don't think we're meeting our obligations towards these.
Wait, that's so fucking backwards. That's so ironic with hindsight. The children in 1960 were taking their state mandated lunches, free lunches, back home so that they could feed their family. Meanwhile, the neoliberal regime has inverted this
Based?
entirely, where it's the responsibility of the family to give the kids enough food for the day, and you're a retarded socialist.
Listen,
If you say otherwise.
listen. It's American to let the kids starve, I think. They don't need nutrients to learn. They should be in the factories. They yearn for the mines.
They do. Well, some of them do.
Americans. I'm not satisfied when the
The
Soviet
autistic
Union
ones
is turning
yearn
out
for the mines.
twice as many scientists and engineers as we are. I'm not satisfied when many of our teachers are inadequately paid, or when our children go to school part-time shifts. I think we should have an educational system second to none. I'm not satisfied when I see men like Jimmy Hoffa in charge of the largest union in the United States, still free. I'm not satisfied.
Remember when we had a
failing to
bunch of
develop-
unions? God damn.
Who's Jimmy Harper?
The unions are so cucked now. They fucking went for Donald Trump and now he's butt fucking them.
No,
Did I say butt fucking?
No. The unions weren't fucked over yet. Jimmy Hoffa. Who's that?
No, I'm saying today. I'm sorry. Jimmy Hoffa?
Oh, he's a labor leader.
Why did I think he was like a mobster that's like body's been missing for a long time?
I mean,
Is that
okay.
somebody else?
Okay, so but like the hard thing that I think modern Democrats have a hard time understanding about Donald Trump, the relationship between crime and labor is very, very narrow, because a lot of early labor union practices in America were basically state authorized gangs where they would beat up people who wouldn't pay their dues or become members
Is
of the
Jimmy
union.
Hoffa's body missing or not? Because I feel like this is mandala affecting me.
Chat would have to weigh in on that. I'm showing my ignorance, not knowing who Jimmy Hoffa is.
Yeah, let's go. His body was never recovered. Thank you, Google. I love you, AI. Waste that water.
Following his election is vital. Hold on. I'm reading this guy's.
So his body is missing. That's crazy. He kind of was a mobster at the end of an era. The unions is compared to the mafia, although that probably in part propaganda. Okay.
No, so what I was saying,
like partially correct.
What I was saying, there's sort of like
No,
a trifecta.
Dispel.
What?
You have to admit.
What am I admitting?
I was partially correct about Jimmy Hoffa.
You were correct. They didn't find his body.
Thank you. Okay, move on.
What I'm saying is, in America, there's sort of like three intensities of power. One, there's the institutional legal and like cops. Two, there's the union and labor. And then three, there's like the gang violence. And the unfortunate thing is that the mechanisms of power between each of these three intensities are very much so the same. They're just a matter of like spin and national coherence or like acceptability for each of these three intensities. And so when people say like Donald Trump is a criminal president, or like Donald Trump, or
Hell yeah, brother.
or people weren't playing up Kamala's role as like a prosecutor to shut down Donald Trump, I felt like it was missing something about the relationship between labor, law, and violence, which might not be it might not be an easy pill to swallow in the modern day.
Look at the Mamdani effect in fucking New York, bro.
Yeah, but he isn't
It's
like a mobster, I guess. He would be awesome if he was a mobster.
He'd be the best mobster.
Yeah. I think he'd be a great mobster. I feel like if
I would
you're
join that. I would move to New York and I would join that mob.
if you're in New York and a councilman or mayor, there's no way you don't know the mob.
Listen, Mamdami, that if you ever need any fucking protection, let me know, brother. 'Cause I know
Mob's
they're gonna
Dami.
come for you someday.
Mob's Dami, I like Mob's Dami very much. We tried to initiate
Bro,
him into
I
our
love when he
crew.
rickrolls the president. He goes into the fucking Oval Office and psychically attacks the president and makes him do the things that are good for Mamdani. It's insane.
For New York.
Imagine if Hakeem Jeffries did that. Imagine Chuck
Jeffries.
Schumer could never. Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem Jeffries or Chuck Schumer. Imagine them trying to go in there and psychically get Trump to do what they want. It's impossible.
Yeah. Okay, so hold on. Hoffa tried to prevent JFK's election in 1960. However, this failed and Kennedy appointed his younger brother Robert as Attorney General. Robert Kennedy had been frustrated in earlier attempts to convict Hoffa for bribery.
Yeah, Robert Kennedy was pretty based as far as I know.
Damn, alright. He was trying to crack down on the Teamsters.
Yeah,
Look.
imagine law and justice in this day and age.
In May 1963, 3 years after this debate, Hoffa was indicted for jury tampering in Tennessee. Awesome. Awesome. Back when America was a real country. Alright, let's continue.
The natural resources of the United States to the fullest. Here in the United States, which developed the Tennessee Valley and which built the Grand Coulee and the other dams in the northwest United States, at the present rate of hydropower production, and that is the hallmark of an industrialized society, the Soviet Union by 1975 will be producing more power than we are. These are all the things, I think, in this country that can make our society strong or can mean that it stands still. I'm not satisfied until every American enjoys his full constitutional rights. If a Negro baby is born, and this is true also of Puerto Ricans and Mexicans in some of our cities, he has about 1/2 as much chance to get through high school as a white baby. He has 1/3 as much chance to get through college as
Based?
a white student. He has about 1/3 as much chance to be a professional man, about 1/2 as much chance to own a house. He has about 4 times as much chance that he'll be out of work in his life as the white baby. I think we can do better. I don't want the talent.
I think we can do better. I think we can drive those numbers
I know
down.
that there are those
JFK,
who
1960.
say that we want to turn everything over to the government. I don't at all. I want the individuals to meet their responsibilities.
Base
I want
hating the
the
government
state to meet
and
their
watch out for secret
responsibility.
societies, man?
But I think there are
The interesting part of him saying that is that neoliberalism was already sort of incubating in American think tanks, and it really only took institutional power with Nixon in the 1970s. So I think it's actually very interesting. JFK is sort of jumping ahead of the trends, the political think tank trends at the time. That's what it's coming
Also,
off
Chad,
as.
I'm working out while I'm on stream. You should be working out while you're watching stream. The Nazis never sleeping.
Yeah, if you've got like heavy books, you can use those to curl, to do triceps. Yeah, make sure you're doing push-ups.
also a national responsibility. The argument has been used against every piece of social legislation in the last 25 years. The people of the United States individually could not have developed the Tennessee Valley. Collectively, they could have. A cotton farmer in Georgia, or a peanut farmer, or a dairy farmer in Wisconsin or Minnesota, he cannot protect himself against the forces of supply and demand in the marketplace, but working together in effective governmental programs, he can do so. 17 million Americans who live over 65 on an average Social Security check of about $78 a month. They're not able to sustain themselves individually, but they can sustain themselves through the Social Security system. I don't believe in big government, but I believe in effective governmental action. And I think that's the only way that the United States is going to maintain its
I
freedom.
understand why he was
Don't-
able to get with Marilyn Monroe. Like him talking all this riz to me right now. I'm starting to feel something, bro. That's a pretty face, you know?
He's a little bug-eyed. He's kind of looking in
The
two
words,
different directions.
though, the words that he's saying to me, they're
Oh,
doing
he's
a lot for the
spitting.
face.
He's spitting. Being able to coherently touch on all these points and just like the minor mention of the statistics of chance for highlighting disparity. Yeah. The successes of ingenuity, the public-private partnerships, very, very interesting. Very cool. He's sort of also trying to assuage fears of big government, individual autonomy. Yeah, it's good stuff. Hold on.
Any way that we're going to move ahead.
Listen, hold on.
We can do
Angry Knees is slandering me, or I guess this is libel, in the chat. Salty bricked up for social liberalism. Look, it's dark times, okay? This is a light in the darkness that I'm just latching onto. It's not perfect, okay? Leave me alone.
Have you seen FT Signifier has got a new bit going. He does streams, and then he's got an editor who cuts up a small section of it and uploads. One of the recent uploads was him looking at some of the recent black Democrats who are critical of Gaza, supportive of Israel, and he looked at their like rhetoric and he was like, these fellas are just like black Republicans from like 2000s or like Clinton liberals. It's like it's the exact same shit that they're trying to shill. And like the unfortunate thing is that people are probably going to lap it up, not just because it's something that they're comfortable with and can understand, but because Donald Trump is just that egregious and like that massive piece of shit.
Yeah, but he's got all of the charisma and all the front-facing energy to
doesn't,
make
though.
them believe it.
It's gone.
Well, now it's gone, but
He's
he
old.
squeezed the last little juices of it out of his last campaign, and now it's gone. And now he's like, I'm in power. I can be as evil as I want. Goblin mode. But like his 2016 campaign was all fucking showmanship and Riz and I'm a TV star. There was no substance behind it.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about quote unquote substance behind something superficial on the Cute Accelerationist stream. And I think the lesson is not that you should be superficial, but the lesson is, I think, in fact, that being superficial does not omit the possibility that people see beyond it and see into your value system.
A lot of low information voters are very aesthetically driven, though.
We're not using the term low information voters on the stream.
You're an information voter, Dispell.
Salty Squid, I am so racist that I get epigenetic advertisements on X, but I know we're not using the term low information voters. We're not doing that. That's not happening on this stream. We're not doing information chauvinism. I think people are well equipped by God to determine for themselves what they need. See, this is how we know Salty was in the military. Dog of the Empire type shit. Type beat. I'm kidding, Salty Squid. I love you. But like...
Play the video.
All right, we can play the video. Maybe we'll circle back to your low information voter thing. Maybe Angry Knees will have something to say about it later.
Better job. I think we're going to have to do a better job if we are going to meet the responsibilities which time and events have placed upon us. We cannot turn the job over to anyone else. If the United States fails, then the whole cause of freedom fails. And I think it depends in great measure on what we do here in this country.
Nixon has a bottom-heavy
The reason
face.
Franklin Roosevelt was a good neighbor
He's got a
in
quagmire
Latin America
face, actually.
was because he was a good neighbor in the United States. Because
I am
they
not a
felt that
crook.
the American society was moving again. I want us to recapture that image. I want people in Latin America and Africa and Asia to start to look to America, to see how we're doing things, to wonder what the President of the United States is doing, and not to look at Khrushchev or look at the Chinese communists. That is the obligation upon our generation. In 1933, Franklin
kinda
Roosevelt
succeeded.
said in his inaugural that this generation
Our
of
politics
Americans
is everybody else's
has
drama.
a rendezvous with destiny. I think our generation of
Not for
Americans
long.
has the same rendezvous.
The days of
Question
the
now
rest of the
is-
world being American booze are over. We've
I think
destroyed our relationships and our soft power around the world, and people just look at us like disgusted now, and nobody wants to come here for tourism. Las Vegas is gonna fucking dry up and burn off the face of the planet.
but
So
Chinese
yeah,
politics doesn't have the same grip on global news that American politics has, and I don't think it'll ever
not yet.
surpass it.
Give it time, my boy.
Okay. Hell Puppy says that they identify as a low information voter on YouTube chat. I'm actually going to be completely honest. Salty, you know what I did with my ballot in 2024? I voted Kamala. I voted for the Democrats that I know, and then I honestly like flipped a coin for like the entire rest of the ballot. 50-50.
I asked ChatGPT who I should vote for, and that's what I did.
Okay, thank you so much for your
Freedom be
invaluable...
maintained under the most severe attack it has ever known. I think it can be.
This guy's still yapping,
And
by
I
the
think
way.
in the final
This is
analysis,
still his
it
introduction.
depends upon what we do here. I think it's time America started moving again.
And now the opening statement by Vice.
I think, hold on. Thematically,
Impeccable time.
What? What do you mean impeccable time?
Impeccable timing. You said this guy's still yapping. He said, "All right, I'll get the fuck off the
he
stage."
just
I
wrapped it up
guess.
now. Hold on, but I want to say the theme of making America move, I think, is actually very interesting because it feels like he was picking up on some social currents from the time that America was stagnating under the post-war consumptive boom, and people were looking for something new. Something that wasn't stagnant. And unfortunately, I
mean,
think
that's kind of always the case, right?
my theory for this debate is that a lot of the problems that they bring up here are I think are problems that still exist. The desire for America to be the center.
People want to move one direction or the other. They either want to go back or they want to go forward progressively. I don't think many people want to just stay and are content in their position.
No. What I think people feel no. People don't want to go back to something. I think everybody implicitly understands that there is never going back. You're always going forward politically, technologically, theoretically, in time. So you always do need to look forward, but there are values in the past that we have lost, which we have the political capability to reclaim should we popularly decide. But moving on from that, I think, is actually an interesting theme. People were feeling stagnant is what that sort of tells me. At the end,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, nobody likes to feel stagnant. They want to do things. Like, nobody is just content and thinks everything is perfect the way it is.
My theory is that people were already sick of consumer capitalism at this point. And him saying, I don't want people to look to Khrushchev for, guidance on what the world is doing, is not just because he says America's the bastion of freedom, and that bastion of freedom has allowed us to engage in these to secure freedom, but also industrial capacity, and to be a helping hand leading the world into a bright new future, but that communism is slavery. You're a producer for producing sake, and vaguely these sort of sentiments are trickling into America, and we need to return freedom to people. I think that's a powerful theme that will actually still works today. Now, the policies to actually relieve that, people might call me a little extreme, but we'll not get into that. Don't worry about it. Tulsa, you don't need to highlight your message. You're in fucking stream. Okay, whatever. We're moving on. Let's see what Nixon has to say.
Smith, Senator Kennedy. The things that Senator Kennedy has said, many of us can agree with.
Many of us.
There is no question but that we cannot discuss our internal affairs in the United States without recognizing that they have a tremendous bearing on our international position. There is no question but that this nation cannot stand still because we are in a deadly competition, a competition not only with the men in the Kremlin, but the men in Peking. We're ahead in this.
A deadly competition is very
Bro, Mina
social
would love this
Darwinist
rhetoric.
Yeah, it's very social Darwinist rhetoric. Where Kennedy was talking about freedom and industrial capacity, Nixon is talking about deadly competition. It almost feels like Nixon is denying the idea that nuclear deterrence, the Cold War, has stagnated society, and in fact it's actually motivated society. And considering that Kennedy won this election, I'm inclined to believe that Kennedy was right to say that nuclear deterrence has stagnated society, and people do actually want to move on.
Okay, but how? Can you elaborate on that idea that nuclear deterrence has stagnated society?
Okay, so for a long time, humanity has understood that we've got the capability of obliterating ourselves, and it's sort of only providence that we have yet to. And that has sort of caused a depressive reign on society where everybody sort of vaguely understands that history is sort of already over. Right? The idea of the end of humanity is a very tantalizing fantasy. Obviously, humanity is going to have to come to an end at some point. But in the meantime, we have genuinely developed the tools in order to destroy ourselves before the sun kills us. And
I mean, not everybody thinks that way. There's people that want to nuke everything and bring about the end times. There's people that think that we're going to transcend humanity and become robot lords. There's people that think we're going to escape the planet and go live on Mars, and there's people that just want to die and be part of the dirt. So I think there's a lot of different philosophies when it comes to that.
These are people whose reaction to the stagnation of deterrence and the implication of humanity's general death is to resist it by any means necessary. We have to preserve
but we're having the
humanity.
we're having the same tensions now, or similar tensions that they did then, of nuclear war happening, and it's getting closer and closer to that being a reality. And I guess it just depends how you want to react to that. Me, I'm just accepting. I'm accepting of it. Like,
I don't think
it's probably going to happen.
I don't think we're any
We're
closer
probably
to
going to wipe
nuclear.
ourselves out.
I don't think we're any closer to nuclear fallout, mutually assured destruction, now than we were.
I mean, it's
70
either
years
that
ago.
or the supercomputer AIs take us out.
Well, some supercomputer AIs are saying that we should use mini nukes.
Dope.
And for
Based.
the record, I'm not against nuclear weapons. And and this is my god honest opinion, my moral foundation for human capabilities should be that we can nuke an asteroid that is threatening life on Earth. There should be at least one nation on Earth that can nuke an asteroid apart.
I agree. I'm just anti-war. Having been, I wasn't a combat vet, but I was part of the fucking military-industrial complex, and I fueled jets on the fucking aircraft carrier that probably dropped some bombs on people. So I was part of that, and now I am completely anti-war, and I think that we should have nukes as a deterrence at this point, but we should work on trying to reduce the number in the world overall, which we have been doing until this point. Now everybody's ramping back up, but humans just aren't really trustworthy to have that kind of capability of killing each other, because we're obsessed with killing each other.
There is a sort of like a fetish, deep desire, I think, for violence, for killing each other. And I think the thing that Kennedy did right was saying, this is the reality of the situation, this is the benefits of where we've come from, and the important thing is, I'm somebody that I want you to trust to take the reins of that, right? So when I say that the Democrats should endorse the surveillance state, it's not because I think that the surveillance state is good, it's because I think that sociologically, technologically, we've ended up with this tool, essentially, that's built into governance. And what we should do is we should acknowledge it and try and make it work for the people.
Yeah, but who are you gonna trust to make it work for the people? Because every time people get their hands on that kind of power, it's misused.
I guess big government is how I want to do it. I want it all centralized in the big
You
government.
fucking insane pigeon. I cannot stand you. Play the video.
No, no,
Play-
no.
I'd rather listen to Nixon. I'd rather listen to Nixon.
Okay, hold on. My honest prescription for the surveillance state is that all the cameras should be publicly available. I think public transportation should have cameras on them, like Teslas have cameras. But
I
public
mean,
transportation.
the Democrats are the ones that really pushed for police officers having cameras on them.
I think
and
that's
it's
also a
not
good
for
thing.
our fucking safety. That's not for our safety.
It's not
Because
for
when-
your safety,
when
but it's
police-
for the
It's
fallout.
for more surveillance. It's so they can do more surveillance on us and capture more of what is happening in the streets. It's also when something does happen that an officer does something wrong, the likelihood of you gaining access to that video and being able to take that to court is very fucking slim. So it's not like people are using it for what the supposed version of what it should be for. It's secretly just to surveil you and to use everything against you.
It's not. No. It's not to use everything against you. It's to market you. And that's why this is the Dispel marketable stream. Let's see what Nixon
I
has
just
to
think the
say.
government is trying to lock you into a box any means possible that they can, so they can make money off you locked in a box.
Yes. But why do they want to make the money off of you? It's in order to supply the national security armaments war. At the very foundation, that's what it is. All right,
Sure.
hold on. Let's see what Nixon has to say.
And the weird parties at Mar-a-Lago where they wear dog faces that are like reality based, and then they're in gowns, and then they do weird shit afterwards. That's what they're funding. Did you see that video, or am I the only insane person?
What, that rich people can transgress social norms and do
Fuck
like
you.
insane shit? No, I'm being honest, Salty Squid, because the honest to God truth, and I think this is something that Americans were understanding even in the 1960s. This is why Kennedy was saying we need to get moving, referring to labor relations as well and industrial capacity, is that the honest to God truth of capitalism, of American capitalism, is that it does give you freedom, but it gives you the freedom to be a consumer.
Yeah,
What does-
and I was happy being a consumer for a long time. I was lulled into a fucking sleep in consumerism and American exceptionalism. How do you think I got into the fucking military?
Yeah. So, I mean, based on your works, you are given the privilege to consume not only food, water, light, family, but also self-actualization is
Consume
something
my
that
family?
you can consume. Yes.
That must be a pigeon thing. I don't consume my family.
You
I
need
love
to
my
consume
family.
things in order to sustain your family. And that is given not only as a reward for work, but also as a privilege. So that the more capital you accumulate, the more things you can consume, right? The more audacious the entity, the more transgressive it is to consume something. Becomes easier with capital. That's why this is what the fucking title of the stream should have been.
That's why I don't consume anything anymore.
Epstein doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't consume anything anymore. All I consume
My
is
wife
sunlight.
my wife is way more based about it than I am, because she needs some pants and I was like, hey, let's go buy some pants. She was like, nah, I don't really want to. Let's go to the thrift store. I was like, god damn, I would have gone and bought you some actual pants. I'm terrible. I'm still putting money into the fucking capitalist machine, but thrift store it is. We'll just buy shit secondhand, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a good, right? Because that's not consumption, I guess. You have a plan. You're going to be using the thing. Whatever. Look, I'm not fucking. We're done with production and consumption.
The men in the Kremlin, but the
Basically, chat. American
I would
society is
just
predicated.
consume you into a chicken nugget. How about that?
Fuck you, asshole. I'm too skinny. I've lost too much weight from stress to be a delicious chicken nugget. It's all gonna be fucking bones and cartilage. My beak is gonna break your grinding machine. Fuck you, asshole.
And in
You're gonna have to
Peking.
de-beak me.
we're ahead in this
And you're
competition,
gonna
as
hate
Senator
yourself for
Kennedy,
it.
I think, is implied.
Competition,
But when we're in a
competition,
race,
competition.
The only way to stay ahead is to move ahead. And I subscribe completely to the spirit that Senator Kennedy has expressed tonight, the spirit that the United States should move ahead. Where then do we disagree? I think we disagree on the implication of his remarks tonight and on the statements that he has made on many occasions.
This guy's just being a
during his
reactionary. I
campaign,
feel like he's just reacting to
the effect that the
JFK.
United States has been standing
Absolutely.
still. We heard tonight, for example, the statement made that our growth in national product last year was the lowest of any industrial nation in the world.
No, he brought up
last
GDP.
year, of course, was 1958. That happened to be a recession year. But when we look at the growth of GNP this year, a year of recovery, we find that it's 6 9/10% and one of the highest in the world today.
So hold on.
Yeah, this is also when they were like still relying on the aspect of capitalism where it shrinks and grows and shrinks and grows, and you go through these periods, and yeah, there's going to be recessions and down periods, but just hang on because it's going to go back up. And when you're in a down period, that's when you buy, and then we'll go back up and everybody will be great. Except that system has now come to its end and it's grinding to a fucking halt because everybody at the top stole all the money.
Hey, yeah, it's all centralized. The comment that I want to make is that when when JFK used statistics, when he quanted the fuck out, he quanted the fuck out in order to establish the case that America has still pervasive inequality and that the values of America towards freedom and away from slavery incline him to address this. Meanwhile, Nixon is quanting the fuck out to say, actually, things are perfectly fine. You know, GDP is great. I love GDP. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, they both love GDP.
They both love GDP, but they use statistics to highlight different issues. My mind is going to glaze over far easier if Nixon is talking about GDP than JFK talking about inequality and completing the American dream of a genuinely egalitarian free society.
Yeah, but we also have like the benefit of hindsight being 50-50.
Bye Dijej. Enjoy your D&D. I hope you guys have fun. I hope you guys make good choices and don't murder hobo. All right, let's continue on.
I used to be in that D&D group, but then they left me behind.
they fucking hate you.
No, they love me. I was the heart and soul of that group, okay?
No. Maybe that's why he had to bring it up. He was like, damn, Salty, we kind of miss you. Come back.
I know. It was a cry for help. I saw it, but I'm not coming back. I'm sorry.
Looking then to this problem of how the United States should move ahead and where the United States is moving, I think it is well that we take the advice of a very famous campaigner. Let's look at the record. Is the United States standing still? Is it true that this administration, as Senator Kennedy has charged, has been an administration of retreat, of defeat,
compared to
of stagnation? Is it true
Kennedy?
He's licking his lips a lot.
Country is concerned, in the field of electric power, in all of the fields that he has mentioned, we have not been moving ahead. Well, we have a comparison that we can make. We have the record of the Truman administration of 7.5 years and the 7.5 years of the Eisenhower administration. When we compare these two records in the areas that Senator Kennedy has discussed tonight, I think we find that America has been moving
Look
ahead.
at him just analyzing and
Let's take
absorbing.
schools. We have built more schools in these last 7.5 years than we built in the
It feels like Nixon is saying, wow, Kennedy, that was a great speech. I agree with you, but actually, things aren't that bad. It's perfectly fine. Schools? We've got plenty. GDP? Consumption? Plenty. Everything's fine. I don't know why you're talking about stagnation. You guys are crazy. He's literally doing like what the Democrats do like nowadays, saying like, oh, there isn't this massive problem. Awesome. Nixon was a Democrat.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
Yeah, don't believe your lying eyes.
7.5, for that matter, in the previous 20 years. Let's take hydroelectric power. We have developed more hydroelectric power in these 7.5 years than was developed in any previous administration in history. Let us take hospitals. We find that more have been built in this administration than in the previous administration. The same is true of highways. Let's put it in terms that all of us
More
can understand.
highways!
We often
Whoa,
hear
the
gross
progression
national
of
product
time and
discussed.
human ingenuity and building kept going. That's crazy.
I feel like what he's referring to is almost the fetishization of production, that America is such a great place. We're producing so many things. We've got so many hospitals, so many highways. I don't know why you people are upset. Like, sure, we just got out of a little depression, but like, it's
Look what you
really
have,
not that
and
bad.
stop thinking about what you really want. And
We're
should
building
have.
so many things. There's so many more highways to build. Yeah. Okay.
And in that respect, may I say that when we compare the growth in this administration with that of the previous administration, that then there was a total growth of 11% over 7 years. In this administration, there's been a total growth of 19% over 7 years. That shows that there's been more growth in this administration than in its predecessors.
There's been so
Let's
much
not put it
growth.
there.
I don't know why people
Let's
are
put it in
unhappy with
terms of the
GDP.
average
Hold on.
family. What has happened to you? We find that your wages have gone up 5 times as much in the Eisenhower administration as they did in the Truman administration.
Okay. Are we really still doing this? Oh my fucking god, liberals still do this shit. Like, where they'll say, like, oh, your wages have gone up, yippee! But it's like, okay, we're talking about the real cost of wages. Like, your wages going up doesn't mean much if commodities also rise an insane amount.
Yeah, and you're also paying more for shit, and then the fact that it's not tied to production. So all the production that is increasing exponentially is not tied to wages. Your wages are going up marginally compared to that. And you can see the same thing today. Like, me, with the power of computers, I am so much more productive and get so much more done in a week than somebody that would be doing my job even 20 or 30 years ago. But I don't get paid for that amount of increase in production.
No. You get a little pat on the back.
I get pizza parties.
A pizza, but yippee!
What about the prices you pay? We find that the prices you pay went up 5 times as much in the Truman administration as they did in the Eisenhower
Wait,
administration.
hold on. Wait, he brought up
What's the net
prices.
result of this? 5 times as much in the Eisenhower administration as they did in the Truman administration. What about the prices you pay? We find that the prices you pay went up 5 times as much in the Truman administration as they did in the Eisenhower administration.
Oh, okay.
What's
He
the
is
net result of
addressing
it?
it.
This means that the average family income went up 15% in the Eisenhower years as against 2% in the
But
Truman.
he's still doing the same thing. Everything is
Now,
fine.
this
Stop
is
worrying
not
about
standing
it.
still. But good as this record is, may I emphasize, it isn't enough.
And this has never worked for anybody.
record
It's
is
never
never
worked where
something to
you
stand
say
It's something to
everything
build
is fine when it's not fine. Like, people know how much childcare costs. People know how much they're being paid. People understand when groceries go up. They understand when gas goes up. They understand when their life condenses and they don't have as much freedom to do the things they want. And you can't just tell them, well, we've done all these things for you, so why aren't you happy? Because I can feel it in my real life that I'm not gaining anything from these things that you say are supposed to be good. And that has not changed.
Yeah, it's stagnated. And I mean, he's just denying it. Hold on. I'm gonna do something absolutely sinful whenever I find the clip. There is
I love sinfulness.
okay, Nick Fuentes has a clip describing GDP that's problematically accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. Everything Nick Fuentes has been doing lately has been problematically accurate. And
Oh,
then
shut
Matt
up.
Walsh released a fucking tweet that I agreed with, and
Oh,
I
God.
thought the world was going to end.
Yeah, it might be ending. All right.
And in
see
building
if I
on
can
this
find it.
record, I believe that we have the secret for progress. We know the way to progress.
Why are you referring it to a secret?
You know, I really think that we could pull Nick Fuentes away from the militant right and get him to the militant left, which would be marginally better. It's not great. He's still militant, but like, I think we can pull him over with Cat Boys and just getting him to vote for basic liberal Dems this time around and then push him a little further next time. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I would prefer a Hassan Democrat coalition than a Nick Fuentes Democrat coalition any day of the week.
Obviously, I'm memeing.
Oh, I found it. Holy fuck, I actually found it. Hold on, I'm gonna pull this up.
Hassan can't lead the movement, bro. Hassan, Vosh, and Destiny are the fucking dark horses of insanity on the YouTube
Technology.
left.
Hold
It's
on.
not
Here
about.
we go.
It's
You hear
not
this?
about the technology. It's not about the
Yeah, I hear it.
GDP, whether you can assign a dollar amount to things. People say, well, the economy grew and we have TVs now. But we lost something.
We have
qualitative.
TVs now.
We lost something that cannot be measured. And we lost it because of diversity.
Not quite.
Oh.
Not quite. What he's referring to is the diversity of people.
Chief, you had me in the first half, I'm not gonna lie, but then...
But like, okay, hold on. The charitable interpretation of saying diversity has been the fall of, or diversity is the reason for we lost something that cannot be measured, is the diversity of products available. All products, when politics becomes
all right,
the
let it play then.
choice
You
in
stopped
products.
it. You stopped it at diversity is the problem, and so it's painted as something what it's not. Go ahead and play the rest.
We all know what sort of diversity Nick Fuentes is referring to. I'm giving
That's
a
why I said
competitive
that.
alternative that the fucking retarded liberals can't do. Hi, Mina.
Lost it because we gave up. We lost
True.
it because we blamed ourselves.
True.
We became guilty.
Okay.
We lost the standards.
Dog
We started
whistle.
making excuses for everybody. This is the simplest form of the idea. We have lost something that is priceless, something that is.
Okay, do you know what we lost?
I was trying to say
We lost third spaces. We lost community. We all got insulated, especially after COVID, and now we're all in our little boxes and we don't trust each other.
But yes, COVID is certainly part of it. COVID is the crystallization of the techno-feudal scheme, which was developed out of the neoliberal scheme, where people were responding to the losses of humanity, of the public commons in the post-war period, and I would say primarily due to the development of the suburbs, that we lost something. But Nick Fuentes wants to say it's because of brown people.
Yeah, it was fucking soccer moms that destroyed this country.
It was the diversity of soccer moms and the diversity of Lululemon shapely bottom wear.
Transmission.
Okay, genetic and cultural transmission. Okay, the thing that goes hard about that clip is not the racism, but the fact that, yeah, GDP is not everything. And our friend here, Nixon, is saying, well, the secret for progress is progress for its own sake. And Kennedy is saying, well, no, it's freedom is the secret to our progress. And I think that's actually very powerful. Naming the demons of modernity is very powerful.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think, first of all, our own record proves that we know the way. Senator Kennedy has suggested that he believes he knows the way.
Yo, that's
I
fascist.
respect the sincerity with which he makes that suggestion. But on the other hand, when we look at the various programs that he offers, they do not seem to be new. They seem to be simply retreads of the programs of the Truman administration which preceded it. And I would suggest that during the course of the evening, he might indicate those areas in which his programs are new, where they...
I hate this in debates when instead of giving an argument, giving a position, Nixon is just reacting to Kennedy's speech. They'll say, over the course of this debate, my opponent is going to attempt to do XYZ. And it's like, bitch, you're not fucking smart for trying to make my argument for me. Or preempt it. Just make your fucking case. I hate
I'm
that.
sorry, I'm not listening to you right now. I'm trying to pull you up on YouTube so I can mog Mina in that chat.
Okay.
will mean more progress than we had then. What kind of programs are we for? We are for programs that will expand educational opportunities, that will give to all Americans their equal chance for education, for all of the things which are necessary and dear to the hearts of our people. We are for programs, in addition, which will see that our medical care for the aged is much better handled.
Oh, he
than
fucked
is at
up!
the present time.
Oh,
Here again,
stutter
may I
mouth.
indicate that Senator
Get off the
Kennedy and
stage,
I
bro.
are not in disagreement as
Look,
to the aim.
stoic, placid, no reaction. He's like, yeah, this bitch is tripping. I'm just writing my shit. I'm writing my lines.
His aura is just vibrating through Nixon right now, and he's shook.
Holy.
We both want to help the old people. We want to see that they do have adequate medical care. The question is the means. I think that the means that I advocate will reach that goal better than the means that he advocates. I could give better examples, but for whatever it is, whether it's in the field of housing or health or medical care or schools or the development of electric power, we have programs which we believe will move America, move her forward and build on the wonderful record that we have made
More
over
industry.
these past 7.5 years.
No mention of freedom.
Now, when we look at
the
these
words
programs,
freedom have not come out
might
of
I
his mouth.
suggest that in evaluating them, we often have a tendency to say that the test of a program is how much you're spending. I will concede
Well, yeah, freedom
all
comes
the
secondary
areas to
to
which I
industry and
refer.
production.
Senator Kennedy would have the federal government spend more than I would have it spend.
Hold on.
I costed out the cost of the Democratic platform. It runs
No.
a minimum of $13.2 billion a year
No,
more
he's
than
doing
we're
the
presently
fucking
spending, to a
liberal
maximum of
market
$18
realism,
billion
where the
a year more than
validity
we're
of a
God, you
policy.
can't spend money on the
Republican
people.
platform will cost more
We
too.
have to spend
It
that
will
money
cost
on
a minimum of $4 billion
material for the
a year more,
military.
a maximum of $4.9 billion a year more than we're presently spending. Now, does this mean that his program is better than ours? Not at all. Because it isn't a question of how much the federal government spends. It isn't a question of which government does the most. It's a question of which
Okay,
administration
Dispell.
does the
Now
right thing.
we have to go and look at both of their proposals from this year.
Fine. All right, I've got the election right here. I've got the Wikipedia page for the election open on
Okay,
my other screen.
what was Kennedy proposing that we were spending all this money on?
Where's the hold
Because
on.
like whatever he says on stage is nice, but I want to see what was written into like actual ink.
Nominations. Hold on. Where's like the policy?
Shut up, Mina. You love policy, I thought. Probably.
She loves war.
Yeah, that's true. She's like, I only like the laws that let me do extreme violence on humanity.
Hold on, I'm looking for policy.
You gotta have some background music for when the stream comes to a grinding halt. It's okay to just chill and contemplate for a moment, but you gotta have some like background music or I'm gonna lose my shit.
Okay. You need a little bit of like yapping.
Just some fucking like coffee jazz or something. I don't know.
I can do like scat. How about
Whatever,
that?
bro.
Does that
Just
that work?
noises to keep the voices away, you know what I mean?
Hold on. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck the policies were here. And I don't know. Campaign issues. Oh, here we go. Key concern in Kennedy's campaign was skepticism among Protestants about being Roman Catholic. Okay, that's not quite policy. Kennedy's campaign took advantage of an opening when Martin Luther King was arrested in Georgia as part of a sit-in. Nixon asked President Eisenhower to intervene, but the president declined to do so. Nixon refused to take further action, but Kennedy placed calls to local political authorities to get King released from jail. He also called King's father and wife. As a result, King's father endorsed Kennedy, and he received much favorable publicity among the black electorate. Damn! Kennedy secured both the black electorate and the racist Southern vote. That's fucking wild. Is there
Trying to do research over here. I'm quanting out. I'm sorry.
Are you also trying to figure out what the issues were?
I'm trying to figure out what Kennedy's proposal were that Nixon is referencing right now in his plan that he read.
I mean, well,
You
he's
can
just
keep
saying,
playing it, and I'll find the shit in the background. I'll
No,
let you
Nixon
know.
is just saying that Kennedy is trying to extend the Truman policies. Okay, the other issue was 1953, 3 years before this debate, Soviets launched Sputnik, the first man-made satellite to orbit Earth. And people were anxious that the Soviet Union was going to surpass capitalism. 1960, Fidel Castro became Emperor of Cuba.
Bro, I don't think I can get into the JFK library because of my VPN. That's crazy.
Have you told them that you're a veteran?
No, nobody respects me anyway.
Yeah. Because you're a veteran?
No, because I don't deserve respect, probably.
Some historians criticize Nixon for not taking greater advantage of Eisenhower's popularity and for not discussing the prosperous economy of the Eisenhower presidency more often in his campaign. As the campaign moved into the final 2 weeks, polls and most political pundits predicted a Kennedy victory. However, President Eisenhower, who had largely sat out of the campaign, made a rigorous campaign tour for Nixon in the last 10 days before the election. Nixon criticized Kennedy for saying that Quemoy and Matsu, two small islands off the coast of communist China, which were once held by the nationalist forces in Taiwan, were outside the treaty protection of the United States with the nationalist Chinese. Nixon claimed the islands were included in the treaty and accused Kennedy of showing weakness towards the communist aggression. Okay, I'm not convinced that there are widespread allegations of voter fraud in this election. Oh my god. And that actually won the national popular... Oh, they were saying that Kennedy rigged the election somehow.
True,
He was
I
just
wouldn't put it
that.
past him.
He was just that. He was just that there. No, I mean, the actual policies that they were presenting, I'm not getting directly off this Wikipedia page.
I can't find it. I went to the JFK library and went through the fucking campaign. They don't have the list that Nixon is referencing, so whatever. Just play the goddamn video.
And in our case, I do believe that our programs will stimulate the creative energies of 180 million free Americans. I believe the programs that Senator Kennedy advocates...
Okay, so they're both referring to a general malaise in the epoge of, like, the socialist revolution in America, the post-war socialist revolution, that people are feeling uncreative or stagnant. Very curious.
Will have a tendency to stifle those creative
Nowadays,
energies.
we just assure people that's not the case.
His programs would
You just
lead
need to
to
work
the
harder.
stagnation of the motive power that we need in this country to get progress. The final point that I would like to make is this. Senator Kennedy has suggested in his speeches that we lack compassion for the poor, for the old, and for others that are unfortunate. Let us understand throughout this campaign that his motives and mine are sincere. I know what it means to be poor. I know what it means to see people who are unemployed. I know
I know what it means to be poor. I know it's uncomfortable to see unemployed people. That's so ghoulish. I know what it means to be poor because I'm rich. Just don't be me. Forehead? Fucking animal.
Kennedy feels as deeply about these problems as I do. But our disagreement is not about the goals for America, but only about the means to reach those goals.
Thank you, Mr. Nixon. That completes the opening statements, and now the candidates will answer questions or comment upon one another's answers to questions put by correspondents of the networks. The correspondents.
I'm Sander Van Oker, NBC News.
I'm Charles Warren, Mutual News.
I'm Stuart Novin, CBS News.
Bob Fleming, ABC News. The first question to Senator Kennedy from Mr. Fleming.
Senator, the
Hell puppy, you're insane. They're sitting in the exact same chair.
Vice President in his campaign has said that you are naive and at times immature. He has raised the question of leadership. On this issue, why do you think people should vote for you rather than the Vice President?
Well, the Vice President and I came to the Congress together. 1946, we both served in the Labor Committee. I've been there now for 14 years, the same period of time that he has. So that our experience in government is comparable. Secondly, I think the question is, what are the programs that we advocate? What is the party record?
Salty, you
we
paying
lead?
attention?
I come out of the Democratic Party, which in this
No,
century
not at
has
all.
produced
Okay.
Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman, and which supported and sustained these programs which I've discussed tonight. Mr. Nixon comes out of the Republican Party. He was nominated by it. And it is a fact that through most of these last 25 years, the Republican leadership has opposed federal aid for education, medical care for the aged, development of the Tennessee Valley, development of our natural resources. I think Mr. Nixon is an effective leader of his party. I hope he would grant me the same. The question before us is, which point of view and which party do we want to lead the United States?
Mr.
Based?
Nixon,
Okay,
would you
now
like
I'm
to comment
listening.
on that statement?
I have no comment.
I have no
The
comment.
next question.
I got
Mr.
mugged.
Logan.
Vice President, your campaign stresses the value of your 8-year experience, and the question arises as to whether that experience was as an observer or as a participant or as an initiator of policy making. Would you tell us, please, specifically what major proposals you have made in the last 8 years that have been adopted by the administration?
It would be rather difficult to cover them in 2.5 minutes. I would suggest
Okay, do
that
your best then,
these
retard.
proposals could be mentioned. First, after each of my foreign trips, I have made recommendations that have been adopted. For example, after my first trip abroad, I strongly recommended that we increase our exchange programs, particularly as they related to exchange of persons, of leaders in the labor field and in the information field. After my trip to South America, I made recommendations that a separate inter-American lending agency be set up, which the South American nations would like much better than to participate in the lending agencies which treated all the countries of the world the same.
Whoa, wait, hold on. Based? Nixon advocating for an alternative to the International Monetary Fund for South America? Holy. I mean, it's not going to be, the socialist bank that they want. It's probably going to be the same thing. Develop your resources for us or get cooed.
It's the old Belt and Road strategy, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Just a little messier.
No. Because in this situation, in the Belt and Road situation and the International Monetary Funds, the Belt is American intervention and the road would be Chinese industry. It used to be America's the Belt and American industry then develops it.
Yeah,
That's
there's
no
no
longer the
road.
case.
It's just belt.
Yeah.
It's just you get the belt or you give us our stuff.
Yeah. It's piracy.
I have made other recommendations.
You're a big fan of
Hey,
piracy.
I'm a fan of piracy. Do not fucking slander us, okay?
Abroad to Hungary, I made some recommendations with regard to the Hungarian refugee situation, which were adopted not only by the
Hungarian
president,
refugee
but some of them were
situation.
enacted into law by the Congress. Within the administration, as a chairman of the President's Committee on Price Stability and Economic Growth, I have had the opportunity to make recommendations which have been adopted within the administration and which I think have been reasonably effective. I know Senator Kennedy suggested in a speech at Cleveland yesterday that that committee had not been particularly effective. I would only suggest that while we do not take the credit for it, I would not presume to, that since that committee has been formed, the price line has been held very well within the United States.
Well, I would say in the latter and that's what I found somewhat unsatisfactory about the figures, Mr. Nixon, that you used in your previous speech. When you talk about the Truman administration, Mr. Truman came to office in 1944 and at the end of the war, and difficulties that were facing the United States during that period of transition, 1946, when price controls were lifted. So it's rather difficult to use an overall figure of taking those 7.5 years and comparing them to the last 8 years. I'd prefer to take the overall percentage record of the last 20 years of the Democrats and the 8 years of the Republicans to show an overall period of growth. In regard to price stability, I'm not aware that that committee did produce recommendations that ever were certainly before the Congress from the point of view of legislation in regard to controlling prices. In regard to the exchange of students, of labor unions, I am chairman of the subcommittee on Africa, and I think that one of the most unfortunate phases of our policy towards that country was the very minute number of exchanges that we had. I think it's true of Latin America also. We did come forward with a program of students for the Congo of over 300, which was more than the federal government had for all of Africa the previous year. So that I don't think that we have moved, at least in those two areas, with sufficient vigor.
The next question to Senator Kennedy from Mr. Warren.
Senator Kennedy, during your brief speech a few minutes ago, you mentioned farm surpluses. I'd like to ask this. It's a fact, I think, that presidential candidates traditionally make promises to farmers. Lots of people, I think, don't understand why the government pays farmers for not producing certain crops.
Yo, that's also kind of something that Kamala didn't do. I mean, she also didn't have the chance, really, with only like 100 days to campaign. She didn't talk to farmers at all. All the farmers voted Trump. Why did they vote Trump?
Of course they did.
It's because Trump was advocating for the techno-feudalist H-2A visa program. Everybody's familiar with the H-1B visa program, where we import thousands of Indonesians and Indians to supplement our shitty education system.
And tech industry.
And tech industry, which is rife for corruption and abuse because these people don't want to necessarily go back to their country. They want to make their bag here and then go back when they want instead of when they're fired. And Donald Trump has expanded the H-2A visa program and essentially allowed big corporate farms to hire almost like recruitment firms for H-2A labor. And these people have a specific minimum wage that was dropped by Donald Trump. And it's, oh my God, the H-2A like visa program, the Democrats need to talk about more. It's actually like so frustrating, the shit that Democrats don't talk about. Fucking Destiny and Hutch will
But
fucking...
that's the problem. That's what Kamala failed at. It's like, yeah, Donald Trump might fuck over the farmers, but at least he acknowledges them and said something to them and got some charisma.
He tried to win them over.
Exactly. Kamala didn't do anything in that fact.
It's because they're a bag of deplorables.
And her Gaza issue, there was a lot of problems. We don't have to do an autopsy, but...
We are doing an autopsy. We're doing an autopsy of the presidential election right now.
Oh, okay. I mean, the data came out that, like, a big issue with why Kamala didn't win was because of her stance on Gaza and saying she wouldn't be that much different from Joe Biden. And the Democrats at the top, like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, wanted to deny that and shove it under the rug.
They wanted to do the Nixon. They wanted to do the Nixon. Guys, it's not that bad. It's chill. Don't worry about it. Don't you see how brat we are? Nixon was kind of brat.
They are pretty brat.
You gotta be brat. I think, hold on, having a speech impediment is brat.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Yeah, neither can I. I was never big on that shit.
Or paying farmers if they overproduce, for that matter. Let me ask, sir, why can't the farmer operate like the businessman who operates a factory? If an auto company overproduces a certain model car, Uncle Sam doesn't step in and buy up the surplus.
I'm so curious how he responds to this.
Of the farmer?
Because hold on, the reason a factory and a farm are different is because a factory is theoretically infinitely scalable. Soil is not. Soil is very much so a more primordial understanding of society, where time has coincided with, the strict adherence to time has coincided with the factory model, but the former model, which was task dependent, a fluid piece of time, was more associated with the farm. So we'll see how he responds.
If the federal government moved out of the program and withdrew its support, then I think you would have complete economic chaos. The farmer plants in the spring and harvests in the fall. There are hundreds of thousands of them. They're not able to control their market very well. They bring their crops in or their livestock in, many of them about the same time. They have only a few purchasers that buy their milk or their hog.
Oh, so he's saying it's not like,
in many cases, and
it's not
therefore the farmer
translatable to
is not
mass
in a
commodity.
position to bargain very effectively in the marketplace.
Yeah, there's no competition.
I think the experience of the 20s has shown what a free market could do to agriculture. And if the agricultural economy collapses,
the Dust Bowl.
Then the economy
He's
of the
referring
rest
to
of the
the
United
Dust Bowl.
States sooner or later will collapse. The farmers are the #1 market for the automobile industry of the United States.
True.
The automobile industry is the #1 market for steel. So if the farmer's economy continues to decline as sharply as it has in recent years, then I think you would have a recession in the rest of the country. So I think the case for the government intervention is a good one. Secondly, my objection to present farm policy is that there are no effective controls to bring supply and demand into better balance. The dropping of the support price in order to limit production has not worked. And we now have the highest surpluses, $9 billion worth. We've had a higher tax load from the Treasury for the farmer in the last few years with the lowest farm income in many years. I think that this farm policy has failed. And my judgment, the only policy that will work will be for effective supply and demand to be in balance. And that can only be done through governmental action. I therefore suggest
This is liberalism.
that in those basic commodities which are supported, that the federal government, after endorsement by the farmers in that commodity, attempt to bring supply and demand into balance, attempt effective production controls so that we won't have that 5 or 6% surplus which breaks the price 15 or 20%. I think Mr. Benson's program has failed. And I must say, after reading the Vice President's speech before the farmers as he read mine, I don't believe that it's very much different from Mr. Benson. I don't think it provides effective governmental controls. I think the support prices are tied to the average market price of the last 3 years, which was Mr. Benson's theory. I therefore do not believe that this is a sharp enough breach with the past to give us any hope of success for the future.
What a line. I don't think this is enough of a breach from the past to give us success in the future. Banger. Absolute banger.
Can you repeat what he said?
No, I already forgot it.
You son of a bitch.
Okay, hold on. Kennedy's speech...
You can rewind it.
I can. Kennedy's speech, I think, was good, talking about farm labor. The problematic thing is when we secure the supply of farm products, we are effectively incentivizing the spread of the monoculture in America. So I guess I would have to do some research into the 20s and how what he calls, quote unquote, the chaos of the 20s that caused the Dust Bowl arose, and how just giving the farmers money for in order to not produce certain products, I think is like probably the wrong approach. We do want a national program to regulate agriculture. It shouldn't be we just dump money onto you because that's just going to incentivize the spread of more crops. These crops are just going to go into feed cattle and other livestock so that we can have meat at every meal. Into corn syrup also, into like biofuels as well. So I think just encouraging surplus into agriculture is a misstep. The actual benefits, I suspect, of the policies in reference here of paying farmers not to produce certain things is not depleting the soil entirely. And unfortunately, I think in the modern day, the American federal government is seeding clouds to avoid the sun drying up cropland. So when crops are fallow, there's nothing there, it dries up super, super fast, killing the soil. But if you've got clouds, it can't dry up as much.
You think that they're cloud seeding? Is that what you said?
I 100% think that. No. I'm going to be more specific. I think the federal government.
I know they're
is
doing it. They're
specifically
doing it in like Dubai and shit. So I wouldn't be surprised.
They are. I think this is something maybe not just Trump has done, but I think Biden has done as well. Seeding clouds to avoid a dust bowl when you just put plants into the ground in springtime when they're at their most vulnerable state for erosion and decay. I think that's something that the federal government is doing. And so liberals who freak out over people who are like, oh, the chemtrails, they're seeding the clouds. Shut the fuck up. Stop fucking like complaining whenever people say like they're suspicious of vaccines or like the government doesn't hold your like best interest in mind. You need a different approach. You can't just say actually because you're being the Nixon.
True.
Hold on, Maria Bruxa has got some insight into the Latin American situation at this time. What Americans don't get about the inner details of what I think you're referring to Kennedy, right? Are you talking, when you say he, are you referring to Kennedy or Nixon? He had just said there, talking about the U.S. operation in Latin America and the Congo, Kennedy, yeah. It was because of the 1964 American-made coup d'etat in Brazil that started 20 years of military dictatorship. So keep in mind, this debate was 1960. That's not to say that there weren't military CIA color coups in Latin America before 1960. Oh, yeah, okay. What will become? I mean, wasn't Kennedy also the one who did the Bay of Pigs? Am I misremembering?
I think that is correct.
Oh my god, okay, yeah. Am I doxing my ideology when I use the word color coups? Does it actually mean something? Oh, okay, so like the groundwork for the coup operation started in 1959. Okay, yeah, the groundwork was laid. You got to build inroads before you actually do the coup. That makes sense. And then, yeah, 1970, Chile had their coup. 1960, Brazil had their military dictatorship. Korea, 1950s, had their military coup. Yeah, so 100%. Proxy wars, genocides, all well within something that they're all covering up for.
I, of course, disagree with
sweeping.
Senator Kennedy insofar as his
I, of course,
suggestions
disagree.
of what should be done on the farm program. He has made the suggestion that what we need is to move in the direction of more government controls, a suggestion that would also...
No. Nixon, you're strawmanning my boy. You're strawmanning my boy. He said more effective government controls, not just more government controls. God, fucking keep up, idiot. The only way that Nixon could keep up with Kennedy's mind was 50 grams of lead in Kennedy's skull.
Jesus. Play the video.
Maria says that their grandfather was executed by the CIA. I'm so sorry for that. And, yep.
Raising prices.
America can do better. America isn't just bad. America can do better.
And imposing upon the farmers controls on acreage even far more than they have today. I think this is the wrong direction. I don't think this has worked in the past. I do not think it will work in the future. The program that I have advocated is one which departs from the present program that we have in this respect. It recognizes that the government has a responsibility to get the farmer out of the trouble he presently is in because the government got him into it. And that's the fundamental reason why we can't let the farmer go by himself at the present time. The farmer produced these surpluses because the government asked him to through legislation during the war. Now that we have these surpluses, it's our responsibility to indemnify the farmer during that period that we get rid of the surplus. Until we get the surpluses off the farmer's back, we should have a program, such as I announced, which will see that farm income holds up. But I would propose holding that.
Is that a Freudian slip?
Not I think it was. The program that Senator Kennedy has suggested that would raise prices, but one that would indemnify the farmer, pay the farmer in kind from the products which are in surplus.
The next question to Vice President Nixon.
Indemnify the products that are in surplus. I mean, I don't know. I'm not exactly convinced by what Nixon is saying. I'm sympathetic to his framework saying the government has gotten farmers into their mess and it's kind of their responsibility to get them out of it. But what does getting them out of it look like? Not sure. Honestly, like when he was talking, it was sort of just like static. I don't remember much.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was way more engaged to what JFK was saying, and Nixon was kind of lulling me into a sleep.
You were kind of bored, yeah, same. They also mentioned the Cuban. Maria says that they mentioned the Cuban Revolution that had just happened during one of the debates. There were 4 debates Nixon and Kennedy did. We're doing we're reacting to the first one today, so they might have mentioned it during a separate one, but the prolific spread of communism was certainly something on their mind and within their purview of the concerns of people during this debate. And I thought Kennedy did a great job addressing those concerns, saying that America cannot be half slave, half free, just like the world cannot be half slave, half free. That's why it's America's duty not just to spread freedom, quote unquote, but to free people from communism, which essentially
the big bad evil, the ultimate Satan.
It's communism, I think, to liberalism at this time point was a removal of a lot of the gloss and sheen of commodity production. It's sort of like the essential reality of commodity production got distilled in the communist revolution, where people are producing something. Meanwhile, in America, they have freedom. They also produce, but they have the freedom to consume, and that's really it. We want a basic floor for material rights. It's not that big of a deal. We can, in fact, vote, yes, food is a basic human right at the fucking United Nations. For the love of God. All right, let's continue.
From Mr. Van Oken.
Mr. Vice President, since the question of executive leadership is a very important campaign issue, I'd like to follow Mr. Noven's question. Now, Republican campaign slogans, you see them on signs around the country as we did last week, say, it's experience that counts. That's over a picture of yourself, sir. Implying that you've had more governmental executive decision-making experience than your opponent. Now, in his news conference on August 24th, President Eisenhower was asked to give one example of a major idea of yours that he adopted. His reply was, and I'm quoting, "If you give me a week, I might think of one. I don't remember."
Brutal!
Now, that was a month ago, sir, and the president hasn't brought
Who
it up
paid
since.
these fucking
I'm wondering,
journalists?
sir, if you can clarify which version is correct, the one put out by Republican campaign leaders or the one put out by President
What a
Eisenhower?
dishonest
Well, I would suggest,
question.
Mr. Van Oker, that if you know the president, that was probably a facetious remark. I would also suggest that insofar as his statement is concerned, that I think it would be improper for the President of the United States to disclose the instances in which members of his official family had made recommendations, as I have made them through the years, to him which he has accepted or rejected. The President has always maintained, and very properly so, that he is entitled to get what advice he wants from his cabinet and from his other advisors without disclosing that to anybody, including, as a matter of fact, the Congress. Now, I can only say this.
Duh.
Through
Shadow
the years,
cabinets
I have
was
sat in the
a
National
thing.
Security Council.
It was also
I have
like
been
in
in
the
the
zeitgeist
cabinet.
back then.
I have met with the legislative leaders. I have met with the President when he made the great decisions with regard to Lebanon, Kimoy Matsu, other matters. The President has asked for my advice.
Lebanon?
I have given it. Sometimes
Lebanon.
my advice has been
I
taken.
don't know.
Sometimes it
I'm
is
presuming
not.
it has to do with Israel.
I do not say.
I was
that
wondering
have
what they
made
would
the
say about
decision.
Israel.
And I would say that no president should ever allow anybody else to make the major decisions. The president only makes the decisions. All that his advisors do is to give counsel when he asks for it. As far as what experience
Okay, so he's going with the
and whether
unilateral
that is experience that counts,
executive theory of
that isn't
government.
for me to say. I can only say that my experience
Executive theory.
is there for the people to consider. Senator Kennedy's is there for the people to consider. As he pointed out, we came to the Congress in the same year. His experience has been different from mine. Mine has been in the executive branch. His has been in the legislative branch. I would say that the people now have the opportunity to evaluate his as against mine, and I think both he and I are going to abide by whatever the people decide.
Senator Kennedy?
Well, I'll just say that the question is of
Hey,
experience.
remember when presidents
The
abided
question
by
also
what the
is-
people voted for and didn't, like, do an insurrection because they were ass mad?
That they lost, or that they believed that the election was stolen?
Yeah. I'm
But,
just
like-
saying, Nixon's a crook and a horrible person, but like I would take him any day compared to the shit we're dealing with now.
Yeah, but it's also like a different time.
I want to go back. I'm a conservative now.
You
alright? I wanna go
you
back to
said
the
that Donald Trump
1960s.
had the best of JFK and the worst of Nixon.
Bro, I said that offline, okay? You can't say that live. That's private conversations. What the fuck? Oh my god. Blowing me up on stream. Play the video.
Okay, hold on. Seismute has something to say. It's not the unitary
No,
executive
no,
theory.
no.
That's just how the
Now-
Constitution works. The unitary executive theory is an understanding of the Constitution, specifically an interpretation of what the Constitution delegates as the purview of the executive. I think if you're saying The president
The
is the one
dipshit
that always
theory.
makes the. If you're the one saying the president is the one who always makes the decision, I think that's unitary executive theory. It's close, and it certainly was. I think a topic
I
back
think
then
the
too.
founding fathers and the Constitution and everything that they did pretty specifically was to make a separation of powers so that the president wasn't more powerful and couldn't do all these wild things with executive orders. And they've abused the system and turning it into something in the spirit that it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, and to be absolutely clear, I would say that the unitary executive theory precludes the ability for other branches to have a check on the executive. I'm just saying maybe it's sort of like a neo, like not a neo, a primordial sort of kernel of the unitary executive theory to say that the
Speaking of neo,
the decisions are always the president's. Speaking of neo, what?
I just watched The Matrix 4 yesterday for the first time.
I heard that was
I kept
dog shit.
falling asleep in the first hour of it, and so finally yesterday I wasn't feeling well, so I laid down on the couch and watched it. It wasn't as bad as people were saying. I
Really?
dug it. It was okay.
It was okay?
Yeah, it was okay.
I mean, I thought the first
It
one
wasn't great,
was
but
meh.
it was okay.
Okay. All right, let's continue.
What our judgment is of the future and what our goals are for the United States and what ability we have to implement those goals. Abraham Lincoln came to the presidency in 1860 after a rather little-known session in the House of Representatives and after being defeated for the Senate in 58 and was a distinguished president. There is no certain road to the presidency. There are no guarantees that if you take one road or another that you will be a successful president. I have been in the Congress
Kind
for
of a
14
backhanded
years.
compliment there.
I have voted in the last 8 years, and the Vice President was presiding over the Senate and meeting his other responsibilities. I have met decisions over 800
You wanna what?
times on matters which affect not only the domestic security of the United States, but as a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. The question really is, which candidate and which party can meet the problems that the United States is going to face in the 60s?
The next question to Senator Kennedy from Mr. Novins.
Senator Kennedy, in connection with these problems of the future that you speak of and the program that you enunciated earlier in your direct talk, you call for expanding some of the welfare programs for schools, for teacher salaries, medical care, and so forth, but you also called for reducing the federal debt. And I'm wondering how you, if you're president in January, would go about paying the bill for all this. Does this mean that
I did not advocate reducing the federal debt because I don't believe that you're going to be able to reduce the federal debt very much in 1961, 2, or 3. I think you have heavy obligations which affect our security, which we're going to have to meet. And therefore, I've never suggested we should be able to retire
Oh, that's
the debt
interesting.
substantially or even at all in 1961 or 2.
Because I feel like almost the bellwether for most modern politics is reducing the debt. But I think it's very interesting. He's saying this debt belongs to somebody. We have these obligations. But he's not referring to like what these obligations are.
Yeah, who's gonna call the tab on us though, honestly?
China.
It's all funny money. We can just push it around forever.
I mean, okay, here's what I think is actually going to undermine like the American bond market. I think it's stablecoins. If you're not familiar with stablecoins, these are cryptocurrencies that have value pegged to the dollar. Now, there are a variety of USD stablecoins, and from what I can surmise, these stablecoins are essentially just deregulated dollars that you can drum up support for as a pool of liquidity to move around the world at rapid paces. So people aren't, like, major corporations each can have their own wallet pegged to the dollar in value, but it's no longer bound by, like, former laws of money moving around the system. That's, I think, is what is most likely to undermine the bond market. The sort of schizophrenic generation of value between national security in the bond market and the advances of global capitalism pegged to the value of the bond market relative to everything else. Right, because Donald Trump's tariffs, the last year the stock market went up like 14%. This year it's like 2%, but the important comparison is the American market against every other market. The European market has done phenomenally. The Asian market has done phenomenally. The Israeli market has done phenomenally. The American market has gone up, but it hasn't gone marginally up compared to everything else. I think that's more likely than not what we're going to see with our funny money.
Sure, I don't disagree.
Because money is translatable into everything else. And so if we can't, and it's very challenging to acclimate for everything inside the system, we can focus on the big players like other currencies, other bonds. But again, I'm trying to figure out what he's referring to obligations here, what the obligations he's referring to here are. And I think it's also like a very honest position to say, yeah, no, I don't, you're just fucking lying. You're doing fake news when you're saying that I've advocated for reducing the debt. I don't believe in reducing the debt. Giga Chad?
Yeah, I mean, everybody yaps about the debt and then they never fucking reduce it and they spend more money and give more money to the military. The debt is not an interesting conversation to me.
Yeah, it's not.
I believe in one of your speeches you suggested that reducing the interest rate would help toward...
No, not reducing the interest. Reducing the interest rate, in my judgment, the hard money, tight money policy...
At least JFK is being
this
based in
administration-
admitting it. He's like, fuck that shit, bro. We're going to spend money. It's going to happen. I don't give a shit. We're going to borrow money. It's just, we're doing shit. We're moving. We're progressing.
The other interesting thing is that he's advocating against decreasing the interest rate. And essentially, the best way that I can explain the federal interest rate in like lay terms is that the interest rate is a tax on money. It's sort of the floor for how much money is worth. And so the cheaper you make it, the cheaper money is. The more you saturate.
It's easier to borrow money. It's easier to get loans on things and build things and make things. It's just easier.
Yes. So let's see.
Has contributed.
But hold on. I think it's also important to note that when they're talking about money, this is when money was still pegged not only to gold but also to the euro. American dollars don't have the same backbone that they used to.
Yeah, no, I think it was a mistake to take our money away from gold, and it's just free floating now.
Yep.
Down in our economy, which helped bring the recession of 54, which made the recession of 58 rather intense, and which has slowed somewhat our economic activity in 1960. What I have talked about, however, the kind of programs that I talk about, in my judgment, are...
the euro didn't exist back then? Or whatever the fucking post-war currency was.
Security.
That
the Vice President and I...
Bretton Woods backed.
The program, the Javits-Nixon, or the Nixon-Javits program, would have cost, if fully used, $600 million by the government per year and $600 million by the state. The program which I advocated, which failed by 5 votes in the United States Senate, would have put medical care for the aged in Social Security and would have been paid for through the Social Security system and the Social Security tax.
Damn! He tried to get universal health care!
I support federal aid to education and federal aid for teacher salaries. I think that's a good investment. I think we're going to have to do it. And I think to heap the burden further on the property tax, which is already strained in many of our communities, will ensure, in my opinion, that many of our children will not be adequately educated and many of our teachers not adequately compensated. There is no greater return to an economy or to a society than an educational system second to none.
Base.
The question of the development of natural resources, I would pay as you go, in the sense that they would be balanced and the power revenues would bring back sufficient money to finance the projects in the same way as the Tennessee Valley. I believe in the balanced budget. And the only conditions under which I would unbalance the budget would be if there was a grave national emergency or a serious recession. Otherwise, with a steady rate of economic growth, and Mr. Nixon and Mr. Rockefeller in their meeting said a 5% economic growth would bring by 1962 $10 billion extra in tax revenues. Whatever is brought in, I think that we can finance essential programs within a balanced budget if business remains orderly.
Yes, I think what Mr. Novin's referring to was not one of Senator Kennedy's speeches, but the Democratic platform, which did mention cutting the national debt. I think, too, that it should be pointed out that, of course, it is not possible, particularly under the proposals that Senator Kennedy has advocated, either to cut the national debt or to reduce taxes. As a matter of fact, it will be necessary to raise taxes. Senator Kennedy points out that as far as his one proposal is concerned, the one for medical care for the aged, that would be financed out of Social Security. That, however, is raising taxes for those who pay Social Security. He points out that he would make pay-as-you-go be the basis for our natural resources development. For our natural resources development, which I also support incidentally, however, whenever you appropriate money for one of these projects, you have to pay now and appropriate the money, and while they eventually do pay out, it doesn't mean that the government doesn't have to put out the money this year. And so I would say that in all of these proposals Senator Kennedy has made, they will result in one of two things. Either he has to raise taxes or he has to unbalance the budget. If he unbalances the budget, that means you have inflation, and that will be, of course, a very cruel blow to the very people, the older people that we've been talking about. As far as aid for school construction is concerned, I favor that, as Senator Kennedy did in January of this year, when he said he favored that rather than aid to teacher salaries. I favor that because I believe that's the best way to aid our schools without running any risk whatever of the federal government telling our teachers what to teach.
The next question to Vice President Nixon from Mr. Warren.
This was before the Department of Education, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good point there. The federal government probably shouldn't be telling teachers what they are teaching.
And they're both advocating for the federal government subsidizing the wages of teachers.
Yep. Imagine.
I'm trying to... maybe I have thoughts on it. I don't
Mr.
know.
Vice President, you mentioned schools. It was just yesterday.
No thoughts, head
you
empty.
asked for a crash program to raise education standards. And this evening you talked about advances in education. Mr. Vice President, you said it was back in 1957 that salaries paid to school teachers were nothing short of a national disgrace. Higher salaries for teachers, you added, were important, and if the situation wasn't corrected, it would lead to a national disaster. Yet you refused to vote in the Senate in order to break a tie.
Holy
vote when that
fake
single
news
vote, if it
media!
had been yes,
Who
would
is
grant
giving these
salary
people these
increases.
lines to Nixon?
I wonder if you could explain that, sir.
Awfully glad you got that question, because as you know, I got into it at the last, and my other question wasn't able to complete the argument. I think that
Oh, he's
the
mad.
reason that I voted against having the federal government pay teacher salaries was probably the very reason that concerned Senator
Wait,
Kennedy
what?
when in January of this year, in his kickoff press conference, he said that he favored aid for school construction, but at that time did not feel that there should be aid for teacher salaries. At least that's the way I read his remarks. Now, why should there be any question about the federal government aiding teacher salaries? Why did Senator Kennedy take that position then? Why do I take it now? We both took it then, and I take it now for this reason. We want higher teacher salaries. We need higher teacher salaries. But we also want our education to be free of federal control. When the federal government gets the power to pay teachers, inevitably, in my opinion, it will acquire the power to set standards and to tell the teachers what to teach.
This is interesting. He's saying when the federal government is subsidizing teacher salaries, that's in some way going to influence them and to tell teachers what to teach.
To pull the line for the government narrative?
Yeah, and intuitively, that kind of makes sense. But, Senor Squid, I'm not sure how much you've been keeping up with the discourse in the past year. Are you familiar with, like, the chorus media drama?
A little bit, yeah.
Where dark money and the passage of Citizens United through the courts.
I hate Citizens United. I think that's the one thing that I mention the most, is most people do not talk about Citizens United enough, and until we get that shit out, we're not going to be able to do anything.
They don't talk about it. But the people who defend the lack of transparency with chorus media, right? Because there is an expectation that Democrats are different than Republicans, that they do stand for something, is exactly the argument Nixon is making here. Or Nixon is undermining exactly the arguments that chorus media people make regarding their funding.
Yeah, it's the idea that whoever gives you money, you're gonna have to fucking capitulate to them, and you're not gonna go against them. You're not gonna make a journal article about how bad your fucking boss is and how they're corrupting the system.
It's intuitive. And the people who say that there's no influence, money has no influence on the opinions and pieces that chorus media creators generate are insane. Because obviously, if the federal government is subsidizing the wages of teachers, under what conditions are they going to take that funding away?
Someone in the chat said that people talk about Citizens United too much. I don't hear anybody fucking talk about it.
I'm gonna do an episode about Citizens. I'm gonna do it. Sorry, not an episode. I'm gonna do a stream about Citizens United. We're gonna have acclaimed lawyer Gilmore of the Bunker on the stream to explain to us Citizens United.
Yeah, just to clarify, like, I don't think getting rid of Citizens United is going to fix the entire system and get rid of campaign finance issues. But
Yeah.
I think it's one of the, like, primary first things that we have to axe if we want any chance to fix the system. Because as long as people can, like, fuel as much dark money as they want into campaigns, like, normal citizens' voices are not going to matter.
See, but the post-liberal response to that would be it already doesn't matter. So like why even try? Just let the money flow.
Then you're just going to create a bloody revolution.
I mean, I think it would destabilize America. Not sure it would be any bloodier than what's going on in the world now. I think
Americans are pretty cuck-brained and enjoy licking the boot, so they may not revolt against them being put into a corner further.
Yeah. Okay, to give an olive branch to what only pussies mute is actually what I'm picking up their name is. It's not Smute. Only Pussies Mute is putting down when they say people talk about Citizens United too much. I don't think people talk about Citizens United too much. I think that they talk about Citizens United inaccurately. Because I think a lot of people say Citizens United is the one that fucked over American election policy. Citizens United is the one that gave corporations personhood. No. That's not what Citizens United was about. Citizens United was the precursor to the actual decision that resulted in our campaign finance, and the decision in this ecosystem that I'm just going to refer to as Citizens United anyways, was that money is considered free speech. That's the key ruling.
Yeah, money is speech. So if I give money to this thing, you can't stop me because I'm just expressing my opinions.
Yeah, I think that's wrong. And just like we've got restrictions on speech, we should have restrictions on money. It's like a no-brainer to me.
I think this would be bad for the country. I think it would be bad for the teaching profession. There is another point that
why is it bad from the teaching profession?
I favor higher salaries for teachers. But as Senator Kennedy said in January of this year in the same press conference, the way that you get higher salaries for teachers is to support school construction, which means that all the local school districts in the various states then have money which is freed to raise the standards for teacher salaries.
No, because money for teacher salaries is dependent on local property taxes.
Yeah,
so
correct.
Does this work, Mr. Nixon? I don't think so.
Also point out this. Once you put the responsibility on the federal government for paying a portion of teacher salaries, your local communities and your states are not going to meet the responsibility as much as they should. I believe, in other words, that we have seen the local communities in the state assuming more of that responsibility. Teacher salaries, very fortunately, have gone up 50%
localism based
in the last 8 years, as against only a 34% rise for other salaries. This is not enough. It should be more. But I do not believe that the way to get more salaries for teachers is to have the federal government get in with a massive program. My objection here is not the cost in dollars.
I mean, here's the thing.
objection-
Like, when farmers fail, we subsidize farming because you have to feed people in order for them to survive. But we don't subsidize teachers. We don't give them federal funds because we need to fucking get an education in these kids' head.
there's a point to be made that the current structure of education is antiquated because the perennial structure is predicated on agrarian societies where the kids were necessary in the summer to cultivate the fields and harvest in the fall and then return to school in the fallow periods. We no longer have that obligation. There's a ton of things that we can change about education. And I guess the pushback that you would get saying we need to increase property taxes in order to fund schools, like Kennedy is saying, we can give the teachers more money, we can build more schools to enjoy more competition. Essentially what you're saying is you want more money flowing in local environments, but that's complicated, and you're not just going to be able to do that by upping property taxes. Because if you up the property taxes, people can just leave to other states.
Sure, and that happens all the time. People move around school districts, and you have areas where the property taxes are extremely poor, and so the school is extremely poor. I went to LA Unified in fucking South Central LA. I know what a fucking poor school looks like. And I've also been to rich white schools in Orange County. So it does matter where you live, and people will move to certain areas just to get into a better school for their kid.
I've been trying to think about what it takes to fix education for a while. So, I mean, for 1960, I'd say, Kennedy is doing a pretty good job. Nixon is making a good point, but the rejection of Nixon's point would be like, yeah, so what if if teachers respond to the federal government? Like,
So like
at least they've got a job.
Teacher
At least they're
salaries,
teaching.
teacher salaries, and the money that the school get is only tied to property taxes, then what are we doing about these kids that are in poor areas?
Yeah, yeah. That's also, despite his, quanting out over inequality in America, that's not something he really addressed. Okay.
Here is the potential cost
Of abuse!
controls and eventual freedom for the American people.
Oh, he
by
said freedom.
giving
He
the
said
federal
freedom,
government
finally. Holy fuck.
Power over education.
I heard an
That is
eagle in the
greatest
background.
power a government can have.
Senator Kennedy's comment?
When the vice president quotes me in January 60, I do not believe the federal government should pay directly teachers' salaries, but that was not the issue before the Senate in February. The issue before the Senate was that the money would be given to the state. The state then could determine whether the money would be spent for school construction or teacher salaries. On that question, the vice president and I disagreed. I voted in favor of that proposal and supported it strongly because I think that that provided assistance to our teachers for their salaries without any chance of federal control. And it is on that vote that Mr. Nixon and I disagreed, and his tie vote defeated. His breaking the tie defeated the proposal.
Damn.
I don't want the federal government paying
I like
teachers'
that
salaries
proposal.
directly. But if the money will go to the states, and the states can then determine whether it shall go for school construction or for teachers' salaries, in my opinion, you protect the local authority over the school board and the school committee.
Okay.
Therefore, I think that was a sound proposal, and that is why I supported it, and I regret that it did not pass. Secondly, there have been statements made that the Democratic platform would cost a good deal of money and that I'm in favor of unbalancing the budget. That is wholly wrong, wholly in error, and it is a fact that in the last 8 years, the Democratic Congress has reduced the request for the appropriation by over $10 billion. That is not my view, and I think it ought to be stated very clearly on the record. My view is that you can do these programs, and they should be carefully drawn within a balanced budget if our economy is moving ahead.
The next question to Senator Kennedy from Mr. Van Oken.
The one thing that I like about what Kennedy is saying is that there is an intangible benefit to putting money into schools, and that's something that I think a lot of liberals have given up on. The other thing is it's important that generally...
Which is crazy because that's like the whole basis of the next generation. Like,
yeah.
You want your next generation to have functioning brains with critical thinking skills and a knowledge of history so that they can go out into society and be adults and make good decisions and vote for the correct people that are going to improve society and not vote for people who are ahistoric.
Yep. The problem... Oh my God. It's so frustrating. The other thing that I like about what Kennedy is saying is that these people who are saying, I want to unbalance the budget, aren't considering that when you spend money on Americans, the American economy grows, and then you get some of that money back through other streams, through other avenues.
You know what they need in the 60s? Trickle-down in economics.
Oh my
It's
God.
coming.
Shut up. Yeah, they got trickle-down economics. Like, that's the... I don't know. The problem, like, fucking 1955, Leo Strauss was like, anti-Semitism is socialism for the retarded. And if everybody's retarded, why don't you just be anti-Semitic? And then fucking 15 years later, neoliberalism hits and they defund all the schools. Why? Because it's a waste of resources on the human capital that's just going to go into the fucking mines. It's just disgusting. It's just genuinely disgusting.
True. All right, play the video.
Senator, you've been promising the voters that if you are elected president, you'll try and push through Congress bills on medical aid to the aged, a comprehensive minimum hourly wage bill, federal aid to education. Now, in the August post-convention session of the Congress, when you at least held up the possibility you could one day be president, and when you had overwhelming majorities, especially in the Senate, you could not get action on these bills. Now,
you had no movement, little bro.
Get them in January.
Well, let's
if you
take
weren't
the
able
bill.
to get them in August.
If I may take the bills, we did pass in the Senate a bill to provide a $1.25 minimum wage. It failed because the House did not pass it, and the House failed by 11 votes. And I might say that 2/3 of the Republicans in the House voted against a $1.25 minimum wage, and a majority of the Democrats sustained it. Nearly 2/3 of them voted for the $1.25.
2/3? And you're saying that's good enough? Oh my God. That's
Bro, you can't even whip
That's
your
funny.
fucking bitches to
That's
vote
so
for your
funny.
proposals?
All the president needs to sustain his veto of any bill is 1/3 plus 1 in either the House or the Senate. Secondly, we passed a federal aid to education bill in the Senate. It failed to come to the floor of the House of Representatives. It was killed in the Rules Committee. And it is a fact in the August session that the 4 members of the Rules Committee who were Republicans, joining with 2 Democrats, voted against sending the education bill to the floor of the House. 4 Democrats voted for it. Every Republican on the Rules Committee voted against sending that bill to be considered by the members of the House of Representatives.
Look at him.
Thirdly,
Guilty.
on medical care for the aged. This is the same fight that's been going on for 25 years in Social Security. We wanted to tie it to Social Security.
Ooh, he's sweating.
We offered an amendment to do so. 44 Democrats voted for it. 1 Republican voted for it. And we were informed at the time it came to a vote that if it was adopted, the President of the United States would veto it. In my judgment, a vigorous Democratic president, supported by a Democratic majority in the House and Senate, can win the support for these programs. But if you send a Republican president and a Democratic majority, and the threat of a veto hangs over the Congress, in my judgment, you will continue what happened in the August session, which is a clash of parties and inaction.
Mr. Nixon, comment?
Well, obviously, my view.
Bro,
is a
I
little
can't
different.
wait for more
First of all-
clash of parties and inaction that is coming up.
In 2026.
Yeah, I'm so ready for it. I
Well,
want so much inaction.
Let's see. I think it's interesting how we've come from Kennedy lamenting only 2/3 of his party voting for his bill in Congress, which is the lesser house of the two. And in the modern day, we've got fucking like Fetterman defecting to the Republican side, like on every fucking bill.
Bro, he is such a drain on brain damaged people's social credit. Like it hurts me socially that another brain damaged person is doing this shit.
Yeah, he's setting the bar too low for your likes.
Like
Well,
I
I
love
don't see
schizos, I love crazy people, but he's doing it wrong, you know what I mean?
Yeah, once he it's his support of Israel, isn't it, Salty Squid? It's he took a tumble, he took a hit to the head.
Listen,
he accepted a couple
listen.
$1 million. Say what you mean.
Listen. Play the video.
How it's possible for a 1/3 of a body, such as the Republicans have in the House and the Senate, to stop 2/3 if the 2/3 are adequately led. I would say, too, that when Senator Kennedy refers to the action of the House Rules Committee, there are 8 Democrats on that committee and 4 Republicans. It would seem to me, again, that it is very difficult to blame the 4 Republicans for the 8 Democrats not getting something through that particular committee.
True.
I would say further that to blame the president and his veto power for the inability of the senator and his colleague to get action in this special session misses the mark.
Get action
When the president
on this
exercises
bill.
veto
That's
power,
such an awesome
he has to have
phrasing.
the people behind
Kennedy
him,
has no
not
motion.
just
He's
a
getting
third
no
of the Congress.
action.
Because
He's
let's
bitchless.
consider it. If the majority of the members of the Congress felt that these particular proposals were good issues, majority of those who were Democrats, why didn't they pass them and send to the president and get a veto and have an issue? The reason why these particular bills in these various fields that have been mentioned were not passed was not because the president was against them. It was because the people were against them. It was because they were too extreme. And I am convinced that the alternate proposals that I have,
The
the
people
Republicans have,
were
in the
against
field
it.
of health, in the field of education.
It's not
in
that the
field of-
president was against it. It's not that the president wanted to veto the legislation. It's just that the president was channeling the will of the people. Awesome.
I mean, he's got a mandate.
He's got a mandate. He's got a 1960 mandate from the people.
welfare, because they are not extreme, because they will accomplish the end without too great cost in dollars or in freedom that they could get through the next one.
Without too great a cost in dollars or freedom. There's a cost in
Nixon from Mr.
freedom.
Mr. Vice President, do I take it then you believe that you could work better with Democratic majorities in the House and Senate? And Senator Kennedy could work with Democratic majorities in the House and Senate?
I would say this, that we of course expect to pick up some seats in both in the House and the Senate. We would hope to control the House, to get a majority in the House in this election. We cannot, of course, control the Senate. I would say that a president will be able to lead. A president will be able to get his program through to the effect that he has the support of the country, the support of the people. Sometimes we get the opinion.
Why is he
that
blinking
in
like
getting
that?
programs through the House or the Senate, it's purely
He's
a
batting
question
his
of
eyes.
legislative finagling.
It's
and
kind
all
of
that sort
creepy.
thing.
He's
It isn't
zooted,
really
bro.
that. Whenever a majority of the people are for a program,
Maybe it's like when he's
the House
lying.
and the Senate responds to it.
He starts
And
blinking
whether
rapidly.
this House and Senate in the next session is Democratic or Republican.
Because, like, he is just lying when he says that America accurately represents the belief of the people. Like, we need a slightly different representative democracy for this to be the case. And he knows that's the case. I think he slightly regrets using the word control of the House, as in the people are being controlled by the representatives rather than the other way around, and that's why he had to make this comment, and he was fluttering his eyes. That's my read. Head empty? No thoughts?
Yeah, no, play the video.
Okay.
If the country will have
Playing.
voted for the candidate for the presidency and for the proposals that he has made, I believe that you will find that the president, if it were a Republican, as it would be in my case, would be able to get his program through that Congress. Now, I also say that as far as Senator Kennedy's proposals are concerned, that, again, the question is not simply one of a presidential veto stopping program. You must always remember that a president can't stop anything unless he has the people behind him. And the reason President Eisenhower's vetoes have been sustained, the reason the Congress does not send up bills to him which they think will be vetoed, is because the people and the Congress, the majority of them, know the country is behind the president.
Senator Kennedy? Well, now let's look at these bills that the Vice President suggests were too extreme. One was a bill for $1.25 an hour for anyone who works in a store or a company that has $1 million a year business. I don't think that's extreme at all. And yet nearly 2/3 to 3/4 of the
Based?
Republicans in the House of Representatives voted against that proposal. Secondly was the
Based
Federal Aid to
interjection?
Education bill. It was a very, because of the defeat of teacher salaries, it was not a bill that met, in my opinion, the need. The fact of the matter is, it was a bill that was less than you recommended, Mr. Nixon, this morning in your proposal. It was not an extreme bill. And yet we could not get one Republican to join, at least I think
Damn, he's
4
like, we
of
made
the 8
compromises,
Democrats
and you
voted
bitches
to
are
send it
still
to the floor of the
complaining
House,
that it's
not one
extremist.
Republican. And they joined with those Democrats who were opposed to it. I don't say the Democrats are united.
You're
in their support
delusional.
of the program. But I do say a majority are, and I say a majority of the Republicans are opposed to it. The third is medical care for the aged, which is tied to Social Security, which is financed out of Social Security funds. Does not put a deficit on the Treasury. The proposal advanced by you and by Mr. Javits would have cost $600 million. Mr. Rockefeller rejected it in New York, said he didn't agree with the financing at all, said it ought to be on Social Security. So these are three programs which are quite moderate.
Why are you taking the advice of a Rockefeller?
One party is
Why are you citing a Rockefeller for how good your policy is?
Mr. Warren's question for Senator Kennedy.
Senator Kennedy, on another subject, communism is so often described as an ideology
Salty, that's you.
that exists somewhere other than in the United States. Let me ask you, sir, just how
I'm not a
serious
communist.
threat to our national security are these communist subversive activities in the United States today?
Well, I think they're serious. I think it's a matter that we should continue to give great care and attention to. We should support the laws which the United States has passed in order to protect us from those who would destroy us from within. We should sustain the Department of Justice in its efforts and the FBI, and we should be continually alert. I think if the United States is maintaining a strong society here in the United States, I think that we can meet any internal threat. The major threat is external and will continue.
Mr. Nixon?
That was a brief but
I agree with Senator Kennedy's
concise
appraisal generally in this
rebuttal.
respect.
I think the strength of that is that actually he didn't
question
say
of
too much.
communism within the United States has been one that has
He didn't
worried us in
vilify
past.
the
It
ones
is one that will
inside. He
continue
said
to
we're
be a
just going to
problem
care for
years
their
to come.
concerns because
We
they're
have
American.
to remember that the Cold War that Mr. Khrushchev is waging and his colleagues are waging is waged all over the world, and it's waged right here in the United
Bring
States.
it back to Russia.
That's why we have to continue to be alert. It is also essential in being alert that we be fair. Fair because by being fair, we uphold the very freedoms that the communists would destroy. We uphold...
By being fair, we uphold the freedoms communists would destroy. By being fair, we would impinge on the freedoms that communists would destroy.
Yeah, how are you gonna call me a commie when you said color coup?
I use all
We
sorts of
uphold
language
the very
from
freedoms
ideologies
that
I
the
don't
communists
necessarily
would
adhere
destroy.
to. I use all sorts of dog whistles.
Being fair,
Hold on. Being
we uphold
fair.
the very freedoms that the communists would destroy.
Being fair would be undermined by communism. Communists, people notable for being unfair to the hard industrialists of America. Notably unfair. And in order to undermine our fair and free society, that's what communists would be doing. It's like... I can't... It feels like Kennedy appreciates and understands the ideology, but rejects it in favor of international conflict realism, while Nixon is adamant that... Nixon is adamant that freedom in America, and this is the only time that he brought up freedom in regards to communism, only, like, not in his introduction. Only one other time he mentioned freedom. But fairness? Like, I don't think, especially when Kennedy opened his fucking speech up describing the inequality of American society at this time as being fair. Nixon is just doing the same, like, liberal bullshit, assuring you that things are fine, and this great other, which is impinging inside the inside.
Yeah. It's not Congress's fault. It's not the president's fault. It's the fucking commies.
Yeah. Oh, fuck this guy, honestly. How
We
the fuck
uphold
did he
the
win,
standards
like,
of conduct
10
which
years
they would
later?
never follow.
Maybe the only reason he won is, like, rose-colored glasses. People were like, yeah, you know, I remember Kennedy being very well-spoken and awesome, and he was a peer to Nixon.
Americans have terribly short memories. I mean, we elected Donald Trump after his first term was a fucking disaster.
Yeah, but I would say that they just didn't elect the Democrat, is honestly what I would argue. Like, his vote share didn't change much. The composition of his electorate changed A little bit. Mostly because the old people like died during COVID. So he needed to drum up some other base.
In this connection, I think that...
yeah, I'm glad my grandparents died prior to COVID.
Having in mind the fact that we fight communism at home, not only by our laws to deal with communists, the few who do become communists and the few who do become fellow travelers, but we also fight communism at home by moving against those various injustices.
This is the rhetoric that Democrats
in our society
are using right now.
And in that connection, I again...
There's so many commies in America, it's incredible.
Kennedy says we are for the status quo.
Yeah.
I do believe that he would agree that I am just as sincere in believing that my proposals...
I mean, technically both these men are for the status quo.
Very good point. They both are for the status quo. So it is sort of like a moot point to bring up that, oh, the Republicans are for the status quo. And then what he uses to refute the idea that he's for the status quo is that, actually, hopefully Kennedy would think that I'm sincere with my beliefs. I'm not being bad faith. I'm being genteel.
Yeah. I might have some shitty views and I might stop some proposals, but at least I am who I am.
I might not be able to speak at length without stumbling over my words, but have you considered that it's not that big of a problem?
Oh, Smugbugs in chat. Oh, fuck. We gotta behave ourselves now.
I think Smugmug would probably make you behave worse, in all honesty. And he's right. This is the original sin. He's read Don't Talk About Politics. This is why we're looking at it. We're vibe maxing. Yes. We know. We read the fucking passage at the start of the stream, Smugbug. Holy fuck.
My proposals for health care are just as sincerely held as his. The question, again, is...
Why is it about sincerity, bro? Why is it about fucking authenticity, even before the neoliberal regime?
Mr. Vice President, in one of your earlier statements, you said, we've moved ahead, we've built more schools, we've built more hospitals.
Hold on, can you clip that really quick, Salty Squid? I'm irrelevant.
Is a local matter for financing.
I'm hacking.
The Eisenhower administration was responsible for the building of these schools, or is it the local school districts that provide for them?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, your question brings out a point that I'm very glad to make.
He comes off as like jerky.
Too often, in appraising whether we are moving ahead or not, we think only of what the federal government is doing. Now, that isn't the test of whether America moves. The test of whether America moves...
I got it before he was able to comment again.
The federal government, plus the state government, plus the local government, plus the biggest segment of all, individual enterprise, moves. We have, for example, a gross national product of approximately $500 billion.
Oh my God, he's fucking
roughly
GDP
$100 billion to $100
quant maxing again.
Of that is the result of government action. $400 billion, approximately, is a result of what individuals do. Now, the reason the Eisenhower administration has moved, the reason that we've had the funds, for example, locally, to build the schools and the hospitals and the highways, to make the progress that we have, is because this administration has encouraged individual enterprise. And it has resulted in the greatest expansion of the private sector of the economy that has ever been witnessed in an 8-year period. And that is growth. That is the growth that we are looking for. It is the growth that this administration has supported and that its policies have stimulated.
Senator Kennedy? Well, I must say, I think the reason that the schools have been constructed is because the local school districts were willing to increase the property taxes to a tremendously high figure.
There it
in
is!
my opinion, almost the point of diminishing returns in order to sustain these schools.
Oh, the Laffer curve
I think we have a rich country.
Sustaining schools.
And I think we have a powerful country. I think what we have to do, however, is have the president and the leadership set before our country exactly what we must do in the next decade if we're going to maintain our security in education, in economic growth, in development of natural resources. The Soviet Union is making great gains. It isn't enough to compare what might have been done 8 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, or 20 years ago. I want to compare what we're doing with what our adversaries are doing.
Based?
So that by the year 1970, the United States is ahead in education, in health, in building, in homes.
It's true, they were, and then we got rid of it all.
The big assignment, the big task, the big function of the federal government.
Can I have the summation time, please?
The summation time, please. What is that? Smugbug, if you want to
Can
come...
I have the summation time?
Whatever the fuck that means. Smugbug, if you want to come on stream, the only thing that you're going to be allowed to talk about is how Israel killed JFK. That's the only thing that we're going to allow you to talk about. Other than that, you're done. And how Israel is related to neoliberalism. That's the only two things that we're going to allow you to talk about.
We've completed our questions and our comments, and in just a moment we'll have the summation time.
The summation time is just the conclusion.
Summation by each candidate. 3 minutes and 20 seconds for each candidate. Vice President Nixon, will you make the first?
Only pussies mute. I think you misunderstand the dynamic here. We're not preventing Smugbag from coming on stream. He is fully free to come on stream.
He has God mode. He can just enter the chat.
He can just enter the chat. But I'd like to point out that the last time he did that to a member of the Pawns, they never streamed again.
He just doesn't love us enough, Dispell. He'll pop into Straighter Age stream and do shit with her, but you and I, we're just too ugly.
He's a narcissist. He pops up on to their stream in order to, like, he's hoping that he can catch a corner of that attention market.
He's trying to vibe off of some of Straighter Age's aura. Her aura is fucking powerful, so I get it.
Rancid. It's rancid?
Yes, only pussies mute. Straighter Age is part of the pond, to her detriment, probably.
Summation?
To her detriment?
Senator
We're
Kennedy?
like her main
First
audience.
Of all,
We're like her
it is well to
GDP.
put in perspective where we really do stand with regard to the Soviet Union in this whole matter of growth.
Growth!
The Soviet Union has been moving faster than we have. But the reason for that is obvious. They start from a much lower base.
Yeah, he's
Although they
making a
have
good
been
point
moving
here.
faster in growth than we
He's saying
have,
that they're competent
we find, for example,
technocrats.
today, that their total gross national product is only 44% of our total gross national product. That's the same percentage that it was 20 years ago. And as far as the absolute gap is concerned, we find that the United States is even further ahead than it was 20 years ago. Is this any reason for complacency? Not at all.
20
Because
years
these
ago
are
was the
determined
end
men.
of World
They are
War
fanatic
II,
men.
where
And
Russia
we have to get the
sacrificed,
very
not
most
Russia,
out of
the Soviet
our
Union
time.
sacrificed
I agree with
millions of
Senator Kennedy
lives.
completely on that score. Where we disagree
Effectively
is
gimping
in
their
the
GDP.
means that we would use to get the most out of our economy. I respectfully submit that Senator Kennedy too often would rely too much on the federal
Dispel?
government,
Yeah,
on what
what's
it
up?
would do.
Just for a little bit of context here, the federal income tax, top marginal tax rate was 91% at this time.
At this debate?
For people earning over $200,000.
That's so awesome. It was fucking 91%. Oh my god. We literally stand in the ruins of empire. We stand in the ruins of giants, for real.
Fuck me.
Oh god. All right. Damn. You can have the consumer society and the 90% top tax bracket. But I mean, like, now, capital is so, like, fluid. It's like, I don't know. I'm not even sure if it's worth taxing government.
We're so cooked, bro.
Oh, my
we're,
God.
we're in late stage, end stage capitalism. It's cooked.
See, the thing about that, though, is I feel like across the materialist political spectrum right now, which I think has distinctly cemented itself inside American politics, is that each age of humanity comes with a particular form of government. The pre-modern was defined by the feudal, the modern defined by the monarch, or the primordial democracy, and then the modern, the liberal democracy. And we've moved beyond that. I think a lot of people are suspecting, but they don't want to say it. A lot of liberals are feeling like humanity has moved past liberal democracy, but they still value all the things about liberal democracy. They don't want to talk about the alternatives. And in the vacuum of that, you got the post-liberals, the technocratic liberals who are like, well, you know, general education, a minimum standard for a civilian, and that's sort of a dated idea. We don't really need any of that. You know, you're going to be born to be a Mason, and you're going to die being a Mason.
Well, yeah, and there's the other fact that it doesn't even matter. Even if we increase taxes back to that point, they've gone above and beyond to put that out of their reach because they don't even have the money in the bank. They just have assets and speculation that you can't tax, and that's what they borrow money off of. I don't know
Yeah.
who made this point recently. Somebody did, but it's like you can't even tax them properly.
Yeah, it is tough to tax accumulation in the same way. But what I appreciate is Nixon incredulously going, well, Kennedy wants to raise your taxes even more. And it's like, bitch, it's 90%. How the fuck are you going to raise it even more? What the fuck is that 2% going to do? And by the way, 90% for the top income bracket, laughing at the laugher curve.
How many people were making over $200,000 a year at this point? Honestly,
Okay, well, there part of this debate was talking about a minimum wage of $1.25. Like the Rockefellers were making more than $200,000 a year.
yeah, but this kind of stuff and corporation and monopoly busting is the FDR style thing that leads to this kind of productive wealth for the working class.
Yes.
But we've contracted away from that.
We've outsourced it and left behind the suburbs, which I'd say without the suburbs, without the production of the car factory, the commodity factory, whatever, the suburbs just become bullshit, expensive garbage. Well, we've got what we got. It's time to move forward, I guess.
To solve our problems, to stimulate growth. I
Nice.
believe that when we examine the Democratic platform, when we examine the proposals that he has discussed tonight, when we compare them with the proposals that I have made, that these proposals that he makes would not result in greater growth for this country than would be the case if we followed the programs that I had advocated. There are many of the points that he has made that I would like to comment upon. The one in the field
I've got
of health
so many
is
thoughts,
mentioned.
people. Just trust
Our
me.
health program,
I'm
one
Nixon.
that Senator
I've got
Gabbard
so many
and
thoughts.
Other Republican senators as well as
And I
others,
just need a little bit more time.
that
This was the first of four
provides for
debates?
all
Yeah.
people over 65.
Do you
who
want to watch
want
one of the
health
other
insurance,
ones?
the opportunity
Not really.
to have it if they want it.
Okay.
It provides a
You?
choice of having either government insurance
No.
or
I
private.
expect it's going to be the same shit.
But it compels nobody to have insurance who does not want it. His program under Social Security
Hold on, what? It
would
compels people
require
to have
everybody
insurance who
had
do not?
benefit insurance. But it compels of having either government insurance or private insurance. But it compels nobody to have insurance who does not want it.
No.
His program under
Wait,
Social
whoa. I feel like Nixon is obfuscating right here. He's saying that people should have the freedom to choose between a government or a private healthcare. And he's saying, well, there's some people who also just don't want the insurance. These are two separate debates. Whether or not people should have the freedom to choose between a government-backed minimum coverage or a privatized competition for that coverage, including operations that are outside the minimum coverage, versus just the concept of insurance generally is what he's railing against here. It feels like. Like, maybe we shouldn't have these massive
Based
pools of
fuck
money for public.
insurance.
Maybe we shouldn't have these pools of money to aid the public, you know? Everybody should just have their own, like, little pool of money that gets put together into GDP. Fuck off.
Security would require everybody who had Social Security to take government health insurance whether he wanted it or not. And it would not cover several million people who are not covered by Social Security at all. Here is one place where I think that our program does a better job than his. The other point that I would make is this. This downgrading of how much things cost, I think many of our people will understand better when they look at what happened during the Truman administration when the government was spending more than it took in. We found savings over a lifetime eaten up by inflation. We found the people who could least afford it, people on retired incomes, people on fixed
Okay.
incomes, we found
Only
them
Pussy's mute is
unable to
confirming.
meet
Not
their
much of a
bills at
point
the
to
end of
listen
the
to the
month.
rest
It
of
is
the three.
essential that a man who's president of this country certainly stand for every program that will mean for growth. and I stand for programs that will mean growth and progress. But it is also essential that he not allow a dollar spent that could be better spent by the people themselves.
Senator Kennedy, your conclusion?
Could be better spent by the
Mr.
people.
Nixon that the Soviet production is only 44% of ours. I must say that 44% in that Soviet country is causing us a good deal of trouble tonight. I want to make sure that it stays in that relationship. I don't want to see the day when it's 60% of ours and 70 and 75 and 80 and 90% of ours, with all the force and power that it could bring to bear in order to cause our destruction. Secondly, the Vice President mentioned medical care for the aged. Our program was an amendment to the Kerr bill. The Kerr bill provided assistance to all those who were not on Social Security. I think it's a very clear contrast. 1935, when the Social Security Act was written, 94 out of 95 Republicans voted against it. Mr. Landon ran in 1936 to repeal it. In August of 1960, when we tried to get it again, but this time for medical care, we received the support of one Republican in the Senate on this occasion. Thirdly, I think the question before the American people is, as they look at this country and as they look the world around them, the goals are the same for all Americans. The means are at question. The means are at issue. If you feel that everything that is being done now is satisfactory, that the relative power and...
I want to make one other comment. It feels like to me, Nixon emphasizes the values of the ends and Kennedy values the means.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not just me. Like, he values the process, not just the outcome. Which is also pertinent to modern society.
Yeah, I mean, the outcome... We have a lot of good outcomes that are nice and great for Americans, but the way that we go about getting them and doing them is kind of fucking dark.
Yeah, 100%. Very much so swept under the rug.
The United States is increasing in relation to that of the communists. That we are gaining more security. That we are achieving everything as a nation that we should achieve. That we're achieving a better life for our citizens and greater strength. Then I agree. I think you should vote for Mr. Nixon. But if you feel that we have to move again in the 60s, that the function of the president is to set before the people the unfinished business of our society, as Franklin Roosevelt did in the 30s, the agenda for our people, what we must do as a society to meet our needs in this country and protect our security and help the cause of freedom.
Based?
As I said at the beginning, the question before us all, that faces all Republicans and all Democrats, is, can freedom in the next generation conquer, or are the communists going to be successful? That's the great issue. And if we meet our responsibilities, I think freedom will conquer. If we fail to move ahead, if we fail to develop sufficient military and economic and social strength here in this country, then I think that the tide could begin to run against us.
It's so crazy how we ushered in neoliberalism to export all of our industrial capacity and defense capacity into other nations, prioritized instead, intelligence operations and other bullshit instead of manufacturing power. We rely on Japan and Korea and Europe for manufacturing power, and instead we just rely on the shit that we've already built and the geospatial surveillance apparatus that we've developed. And communism is gone. Instead, we've got China, who is like not quite communist, not quite capitalist, not quite an enemy,
we did it.
Half an ally.
We defeated the communists.
We did it, but at what cost, I guess?
Our souls.
And now we've got the Patriot Act.
10 years from now to say, these were the years when the tide ran out for the United States. I want them to say, these were the years when the tide came in. These were the years when the United States started to move again. That's the question before the American people, and only you can decide what you want this country to be, what you want to do with the future. I think we're ready to move, and it is to that great task, if we're successful, that we will address ourselves.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. This hour has gone by all too quickly. Thank you very much for permitting us to present the next President of the United States on this unique program. I've been asked by the candidates to thank the American networks and the affiliated stations for providing time and facilities for this joint appearance. Other debates in this series will be announced later and will be...
Very curious. Salty Squid, I want to read something to you.
Okay.
I want to read something to you from
I'm ready to absorb it.
a reader about Baudrillard's work. Are you familiar with him? We've been talking about him in the pond a little bit. He was somebody who wrote a lot during the 1970s, 1960s, into the 2000s, talking about illusions, simulations, and the influence of media. So, I mean, almost everybody at the time, Foucault, Theodore, Adorno, they were all critical of media as a means of repressing people's human desires and instead engineering them into entities which consume rather than actual denizens of the polis. Okay?
All right, I'm here.
I need to pick out a point that I want to begin with this passage. Okay. Perversely, it is the left after World War II that tries to create the lost social in the form of all the expansion of the welfare states, and then later to argue against the neoliberal right-wing notion that the individual is all that counts. All positive thought about the social is complicit with the now hyper-real power of capital liberal states. The social itself must be considered a model of simulation and a form to be overthrown since it is a strategic form of value, brutally positioned by capital and then idealized by critical thought. Capital inaugurated the social in the wake of the 1929 stock market crash and ensuing depression. In order to function, consumerism had to be encouraged, and production would now operate in thrall to advertising or propaganded demand. To summarize, the social is a construct first of capitalism, then pushed further into totalitarianism, and then recuperated by the non-revolutionary left. By 1980s, the social, like power, is everywhere, and therefore non-existent as an actual reality. Society itself, as a concept and as a reality, is the victim of this success. Like an updated Bataille, Baudrillard suggests that other older societies had some sort of reality and were in some way actually communal, in stating that the social is built on the ruins of the symbolic and ceremonial edifice of former societies. Basically, the rational planning of society, the undermining of desire to foster consumerism has co-opted socialism. And socialism acts as a means of capital to proliferate production for production's sake. This is why I told you that war is a cargo cult. Because it is sort of the very final fabrication of the social construct for society. So when in that paragraph he's referring to the social, he's talking about quote-unquote socialism or the desire for equality, and that desire for equality was undermined by 1929, but in 1980s, after the fall of the Soviet Union, measures of contrast between the West, between freedom and slavery, were sort of gone, and instead society itself operated as a model of the social.
Yeah, and the consumerism becomes slavery with extra steps.
Yep. All right, I've got two more paragraphs four more paragraphs from this I want to read. The social itself is itself ruin, a self-centered one, as its interests lie in its own margins, which it probes and fosters at every stage. The social is aligned with all that has become residual. Social issues are to do with ill health, discrimination, exclusion, problematic behaviors. We have even invented a new domain of production in the form of social work. The social is precisely not a unified society or community, but a set of networks or circuits, each isolated from the other, and within which the social deals with you as an isolated individual. The new social is a total construct, and knows it is one, constructing its hyperreality from statistics, polls, and computer models. Individuals are no longer members of the community, but a set of data, a category, or a type. Where Foucault wrote of the use of biopower, Baudrillard observes the next phase, where we are defined by information. As with Foucault, it seems that some are in a better position than others. But power no longer cares about who it is controlling. That is the error in criticizing CCTV, for example, on the grounds of invasion of privacy. When we're all on TV, no one will be any more interesting than anyone else. The protest is a desperate attempt to recreate a sense of counting for someone or something, but simulated power is the coldest of all. When a shop loyalty card processes information about your purchases, they are not interested in you. The process is interested in breaking you down so that you don't count, but your purchases or choices do. So, people become ahuman beings in a broader network instead of humans in a community or a unified society. Everybody's got their own individual identifiers. And the rebuttal of that by the pro-privacy people like Taylor Lawrence, that we need to retain privacy and individual identity.
Isn't it Taylor Lorenz?
Yeah, Taylor Lawrence. What did I say?
Taylor Lawrence?
Okay, sorry. These sorts of people who are advocating for privacy are missing the idea that you already are on TV. You are already marketable. You are always for sale. Your choices are not who you are. Next paragraph. The social is not inhabited by classes.
No, your choices are who you are. That's what they've reduced you to, is just consumer data.
Yeah. Instead of a human being, emotions, connections, stuff like that. And
the further atomization of our lives.
Yes. I guess the argument is that socialism erred when it considered the human as a individual and the society as a higher sort of organization of individuals, but its own individual, like the individual society and then the individuals that make it up, I think is my interpretation of this.
Well, we do live in a society.
The social is not inhabited by classes, but occupied by the masses, described by Baudrillard as a black hole which engulfs the social. The masses are created as a byproduct of consumerism, and the mass society configured by 19th century capitalism. Both governments and businesses love the conformity and malleability of the masses, but this succeeded too well. Now, power has to encourage people to join in, for example, in the form of voting, a pastime increasingly dismissed by the masses. The masses have become a form of inert resistance incapable of taking the choices offered by market capitalism or market democracy. Alternatively, the masses resist through hyperconformity, for example, in following the latest health recommendations or scares, overloading email or phone lines when called on to participate in interactive TV products, or accepting the fears inoculated by governments to the point of panic, as in America since 2001. What are your thoughts on the masses?
I think it's kind of creepy to treat the citizenry as the masses, and give them opinions that are wide sweeping. It takes away individualism, which is what this country is supposed to be about, is protecting individual rights. But it breaks people down into just consumers and data, and it takes away the communal aspect of like knowing who you get your products from.
Yeah. The masses are created as a byproduct of consumerism, I think is actually such a banger line. The masses are the profit line. The more people you can reach to grab your product, the more people you can convince to grab your products. You sort of get a network effect.
But it's talking about an atomized, individualized version of the masses, because they're referencing as a data point and a thing that can be used, where I don't think that would cause people to think differently. They're still thinking individually. Because, like, when he says the masses, I think of like a group of people together in which humans think much differently when they're in giant masses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's relevant.
No, people do behave differently in masses, and it is always important to recognize that the individual exists in a milieu of a broader analysis. But I think the he's trying to replace the idea of proletariat with the idea of the masses, which undermines the idea of class warfare.
Okay.
And
yeah, I was gonna say I don't really like that.
Affirms the realism of modern capital production, which is there's the people who buy and the people who sell it to you.
There's the people on top and the people on bottom.
Yes, and the interesting point that he makes about the people on the bottom is that they've got this inert resistance, incapable of taking choices. Alternatively, they also resist by hyper-conforming, by everybody doing the same thing, by saturating a market, right? This is where you get people standing outside of GameStops for 24 hours for GTA 6 or GTA 5, where the structures for society break down when you've got like a fervor for a particular product, when the advertising is too good. Like Labubu, what's it called? Labubu thing. Thank you, Salty Squid, for 5 subs? Let's see who got these 5 subs. We got Nursing Student 06 got a sub. You're welcome. Make sure you thank Salty Squid. Geefing got a sub. Make sure you thank Salty Squid. Violent Smoker, also known as Mog in the Pond, also got a sub. Make sure you thank Salty Squid. Waldo Odlaw also got a sub. You're welcome. Make sure you thank Salty Squid. Mina, the idiot retard who's in YouTube chat, didn't get a sub. Maybe you should have been in Twitch chat, where everybody
womp womp,
where everybody has a place. Overloading email phone lines or accepting fears inoculated by governments to the point of panic. It feels like he's referring to the idea of the network effect, which I think is something that has been weaponized by the Peter Thiel Dark Enlightenment, where you can use capital to push an idea to such a saturation that it becomes its own entity, detached from all the capital that was put into it to give you the network effect. Okay, 2 more paragraphs. Some might say that the media are at least partly responsible for the massification of society. I'm not seeing a single thank you in chat. Look at all the ungrateful bastards in chat refusing actively to thank Salty Squid for his wonderful gift. Not to me. I don't stand to benefit from subs. But to you. So that you can watch ad-free thanks to Salty Squid's sacrifice. God, you fucking people are like actually embarrassing. Maybe I do hate my chat. Some people might say that the media are at least partly responsible for the massification of society, but for Baudrillard, they are part of the same phenomenon. The mass and the media are one single process, and, as noted above, in their massness, resist their own subjection. By the way, subjection is like individualization. I guess, sort of. There is no possibility of alienation in their own subjection. So how is it that there is such a strong belief that the mass media manipulate the masses? It suits the TV channels or newspapers to believe that. And it also suits critics of the mass media who keep the notion of unalienated agency alive. For example, once the ideology of the media is revealed, the mass will realize that they have been controlled and break free. The drawback is that they have been controlled. The drawback is that even were such a thing possible, there would be no content for the emptied mass individual to work with. By the way, that's why the Epstein files mean nothing. Like, just because people understand that they've been controlled and are begging to break free, they would just be emptied inside. However, Baudrillard can be criticized here for refusing to deal with the question of access to the media. Even if we accept his view entirely, it is still the case that some have greater access to transmission and others are more likely to be passive receivers, and none more passive than one who is drawn into, quote, interaction. So some messages are more likely to be heard than others, and some will benefit financially from this. As a counter-argument in favor of Baudrillard, we might note that the democratization of media access through the internet and cheaper, readier access to it, but this is restricted to certain areas of the world, and as the internet is global, only the names of the monopolizers have changed. Final paragraph. The masses, for their part, are happy for power to be taken from them, exercised for them. The masses thereby change the nature of power, deadening it, and paradoxically, reducing its hold on the real world, or what is thought of as such. The masses are not necessarily the same as the lower classes of society. They are a phenomenon created as part of the change from an era of production, where they clearly have lower classes, to one of simulation. They might be lumpenproletariat, but they're not proletariat. As individuals, they no longer suffer the enemy of the dispossessed. Instead, they tend to the anomalous. They don't fit into society, but they don't care. Crime is increasingly inefficient and aimless. The system continually tries to place them and fails. The ultimate endpoint of the era of simulation is terrorism. And then he goes on to talk about terrorism being a real thing in the minds of people. He's not advocating that people do terrorism. He's just offering an analysis of terrorism. I like the analysis of
I mean, that's the same thing I've said. It is like, I'm not promoting violence or a bloody revolution, but the capital interests keep seeming to squeeze the people into that road.
Yeah, you can't keep banging your head into a post and then complaining when your forehead bleeds. Correct. It's brutal. It's really, really tough.
Actions have consequences. Okay?
Consequences.
I'm tired. We've been at this a while.
We have. We've been yapping for a while. This has been this has been a dense stream. A fucking damn post. I mean, Ian Wagner, like, the Democrats do genuinely resent that they have to be favorable and win elections at this point. It's genuinely brutal. Like, they hate the masses that industrial society has created. Maybe Baudrillard was when Baudrillard referred to the masses, he was just referring to the goyim. There's no classes. There's only goyim. Generated by industrial society. Anyways, the thing that I like about that passage was the reality that the post-war social era was relatively a failure. People were looking for something revolutionary around the 60s, around the 70s, and somehow Lee Harvey Oswald robbed that from us.
I had to leave for a second. I spilled tequila all over my desk.
Oh my fucking god. Well, okay. The stream knows what I said. I'm not going to repeat it. I only remember half of what I said. I like the analysis. That socialism is evil. It's good.
What? Socialism is evil?
Yes. Socialism is evil. I guess, hold on. Because we read a passage from Don't Talk About Politics saying most people who watch this debate that we reviewed today use that to inform their votes. And I don't know. I'm not really sure. I think the fake news media actually made this debate, you know, with these underhanded questions undermining Nixon. It was brutal.
I mean, what you read from that passage is essentially what's happening. Because you said this was written when, 1970s?
Some of the work was... a lot of his work was written between 1970 and 2000.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking prophetic. It's the same shit that's happening today.
Yeah.
And the media is complicit in the consumer slave system.
Yes.
and keeping capital at the top and keeping us at the bottom, continually getting shrunken into the sunken place.
But the thing that I like about the analysis is is that these problems are not exclusive to the 1970s neoliberal reform. This is a relic built on top of the industrial age, and the masses, or the facsimile of the masses as the individual who can be quantified, is part and parcel to that. But it's marketable. It's profitable, and
Hey, just like you're marketable. I'm not marketable at all.
you're not
We're a
marketable at
great
all.
yin and yang.
You're not at all marketable.
I'm the
You
least marketable person ever.
yeah, because you're kind of like, you're constantly aggrieved, like everybody's like hurt you. It's like, oh my god, you're such a whiny bitch.
And I'm insane. Nobody wants to listen to an insane person, unfortunately.
Yeah, a little insane. With a little bit of tequila, I think you come around, though.
It brings me to my senses. I need it for balance.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Democrats, at the same time, they need the masses to go out and vote for them. At the same time, they resent the masses that they're supposed to resent. And they also resent just like the preliminary analysis of society done by socialism. It's not necessarily accurate. There's better interpretations of society
They
that
don't
we're
want to
missing
be
out
in
on.
power. When they're in power, they actually have to do things. They'd much rather be on the back foot with the Republicans in power so that they can fundraise off of how bad the other guy is and their stocks still go up.
Yeah. What happened? What happened since JFK? Was it fucking Bill Clinton? It was the Epstein. It was the Epstein class.
He said something about cabals and they blew his brains out, man.
Let's be honest. It was probably the Epstein class. Israel killed JFK, and then Israel put Nixon into power to usher in neoliberalism and debase the dollar to separate it away from anything real into the new era of simulation.
Wait, you're not that important. There's a chatter asking me a question.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Or not making a statement that involves
Any
me,
old
I
chatter?
guess, is more like it. Yeah, any old chatter is more important than you. I feel like mega churches prove squid wrong. People like crazy people that tell them what they want to hear. Dude, I grew up in a mega church. We could talk about that sometime, but not with
mega
Dispell
churches
here,
don't
'cause
tell you what you want to
he'll
hear.
hate me.
The mega churches don't tell you what you want to hear. They say, you need to give me money to save your eternal soul.
Consume. My
I don't
mega
want to
church
hear that.
was just like a haven for fucking shops that didn't have to pay taxes and coffee and restaurants, and then a skateboard park, and then a bookstore and,
that's
and
awesome.
a shirt store, and it was wild, bro. I'm surprised we didn't have the fucking pastor coming down from the ceiling on a wire.
That would have been really sick. You know, I keep thinking of like the fucking dude who's like limp on a track in like a fucking play park or activity park
I
or
don't
some
know,
bullshit like that.
man.
You'll get your money
Half of
back
my
threefold from the Lord. Amen.
half of my childhood was spent poor in the hood, and half of my childhood was spent like rich with a bunch of white people in the nice areas. And all I can say is I'm glad that I'm now pagan and believe in the wood gods and dirt.
All right, whatever. Sure, fine. Whatever. I mean, the real psychic war. This is why you're not a real psychic warrior, by the way, Salty Squid. It's not just that you put up a trans pride flag at your house. You're not a psychic warrior because you can't talk to your neighbors and they're all Republicans and you hate them. The reason you're not a psychic warrior is because you're not Christian and you don't go to church. That's why.
True.
This is why
So
you're
true.
a fake schizophrenic.
I cut myself off from the psychic vibes.
You did. You're a fake schizophrenic because schizophrenia requires delusions of grandeur, delusions of theogony.
No, my voices come from the woods and the earth now, and not from the techno feudal lords.
I thought it came from the fairy smut that you read with your wife.
White Jesus is just consumerism.
Salty, you want to hear my most like anti-Semitic position?
No, I don't. Not live on this shit. No, what the fuck?
We need to get
No,
rid of Christmas.
I don't believe
we
in-
need to get rid of
no,
Christmas.
I don't.
Christmas is a
I don't
Jewish
believe in
invention.
anti-Semitism. I disavow. I am against all religion, but I love all people. Disavow. Disavow.
Christmas was designed by the Jews for Goyim to keep consuming.
I love Christian Christmas.
I love Christmas too, but the consumption, the gift exchange,
No, I'm just kidding. My Christmas spirit used to be wild, but it's really drained over the years because I didn't have either side to lean on. Like I'm not a Christian anymore, so I couldn't enjoy it for Christianity's sake, and I'm not a capitalist consumer anymore, so I can't enjoy it for the capitalist consumer's sake. So what the fuck am I going to do on Christmas? I still put a tree in my house and celebrate the winter solstice, but the rest of it is bullshit.
yeah, I mean, having a meal, like having a winter equinox meal, no, not equinox, a winter solstice meal with your friends, I think is
Yeah,
good enough.
winter solstice, spring equinox.
I just like have a feast with your neighbors. I'm sorry, Salty Squid. Like, I don't know, cook up like a big fat fucking hog and feed them bacon. Cause like your neighbors would probably appreciate you feeding them a meal that Muslims can't eat.
Yeah, Mina in the YouTube chat said, I like Christmas because my kid likes Christmas. And when I have a kid, like, we will still enjoy Christmas. I just don't know that we'll call it Christmas. It'll just be winter celebration or something.
Yeah, but all the other kids at school are going to be calling it Christmas, and your kid is going to be weird and get bullied.
My kid's not going to go to normal school. He's going to a private military school. Shut the fuck up.
You're sending your kid to the military to get their back broken? You're gonna get your back broken like your father's.
From 6 years old, I had to go through it. You're going to go through it too. Go get psycho.
Oh, that's brutal. No,
Listen. Somebody's got to sacrifice for this nation and our imperialism, and why not me?
I guess, yeah, you're gonna sacrifice you and your wife's mental health and finances in order to put off a couple of fur babies and have an actual one. Because let's be honest, that's why you've got all these. That's why you've got all these pets. They're fur babies. I'm stressed.
I've got all these pets because I work in vet med and I just collect broken animals.
Okay. Well, I'm not a broken animal for you to collect. You are.
I was gonna say you are a very broken animal. I can collect you. Do you want to get in a Pokeball?
No. The fuck? You want to atomize me? You genuinely want to atomize
I want to de-atomize. I genuinely want to de-atomize everybody, okay? That's why I go to a book club in my small-ass town. That's why I only shop at small-ass local places now and don't go consume from the fucking techno-feudal lords. I'm trying to rebuild community and third spaces and actually get in touch with human beings again instead of atomizing and being a COVID freak.
Yeah. That might require doing like bonfires and like sacrifices to your pagan gods. And like the sacrifices that you make to your pagan gods, you can share a little bit of that meat with your neighbors and have like a nice meal and a nice time. You don't necessarily say, oh, I'm sacrificing this shit to the Yellow King, Yog-Sothoth. Make it amenable to the Christians, because the Christians also like the earth ostensibly. They're commanded to take care of it. So there's a little bit of an inroad for you.
What you're asking me to do is to do the Mamdani effect.
Kind of.
I don't know if I'm capable of that. It just might not be my game. I'm just angry.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I can imagine being angry. I was angry too this week, and it made me incredibly stressed. It was brutal.
Your eyes twitching. That happened to me once when I was a teenager, but it was because I was eating cup of noodles by microwaving them with the water in the microwave, and so the styrofoam chemicals were leaching out into the noodles. And the doctor told me to stop doing that, so I did, and it went away.
That's awesome. Thank you, Salty Squid. I'm stressed for a number of reasons, including the state of our nation, the state of other nations, whom friends and colleagues of mine are particularly attached to, and the lives that they own and wield and live, separate from my own. But also because I saw a mouse shitting tumors this week. It was brutal.
Whoa. Salty squid is 90% microplastics. True, but that's why I'm so young and beautiful still at my age.
Look at his luscious skin. He's always like nicely moisturized, not a pimple in sight, not a blemish, not a flaw.
But yeah, the war in Iran is wild, bro. As somebody that has friends that are buried in the flag and knows a lot of people that got fucked up in the last fucking imperialistic wars, it's disappointing. It's very sad that
It's
we're
not
doing this
imperialistic
again
though.
for what
It's the same shit.
is it
They're
not?
What are we imperializing?
We're not imperializing anything. Israel is trying to expand for the greater Israel so that Jesus can come back and take all the Christians to heaven and leave the Jews behind.
That might actually be your most anti-Semitic idea.
That's the truth. That's what evangelicals in this nation want. That's
Yeah.
why they're sacrificing red heifers in Jerusalem. They're trying to bring
What?
about the end times so Jesus can take them up to heaven.
Yeah. I mean, the unfortunate thing for all the evangelicals who are Zionists is that they don't read their book. That causes multiple problems.
Yeah, nobody
especially
reads the Bible
for politics.
I read the Bible twice, front to back, and
Okay, what
and
does it
no
say
Christian that
about
I know
the
reads their Bible?
Salty Squid? What does the Bible say about the end of history and the global opinion of Israel?
I don't think it says anything about the global opinion of history of Israel. I remember a bunch of seals being opened and the goats doing horns and releasing the horrors and the Leviathan upon the earth. That's
Yeah,
what I
the
remember
Tigris
from
and Euphrates
Revelations.
River will dry up. No, but what I'm referring to is that all the nations of the world will turn on the nation of Israel. That's
Oh,
prophesized.
I did not remember that part, but that does sound true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's prophesized. And the red. No, they're not sacrificing red bulls anymore in fucking Israel. That's genuinely anti-Semitic.
So
They
what
don't-
you're saying is that Donald Trump is the Antichrist, and we are in the end times, and you're all about to get booted up to heaven, and I'm gonna be here chilling.
No, I think there's been multiple antichrists.
Or wait, is it because I've been baptized like 3 times, and I was a Christian for longer than I have not been a Christian? So does that mean I get a pass?
That's probably between you and God.
All right,
You would
well,
have to work that out.
I think I've saved enough animals from cancer to get a pass.
Mm,
Can I at least sit outside the gates in purgatory?
It sounds like what you're looking for is redemption. And as we all know, you aren't redeemed only through acts, but by accepting Jesus as your Lord and Savior.
Wow.
So
I'll take care of your cat when you go.
I don't have a cat. I wish I did.
Oh, I meant chats.
Oh,
Chats,
chat.
cats.
They do act like cats. They are kind of like pissy bitches. Salty, can I read another passage from the Don't Debate chapter of Don't Talk About Politics by the woman who is totally not Jewish, Sarah Stein
Sweetheart,
Lubrano?
you can whisper whatever sweet nothings in my ear that you want. Go
These
for it.
aren't sweet nothings. These are meaningful, Salty Squid. It's meaningful. It's meaningful. It's meaningful. I want you to take this seriously. You're doing propaganda.
I'm
Come
here. I
on.
spilled all my tequila, so I'm at least semi-lucid.
Okay, so you're like entirely just out. You're done.
No, I spilled the tequila. I didn't drink it. I'm here. I'm
Okay.
woke.
Reasoning as war and debate are appealing for many of the exact same reasons that they are troubling. They are likely to catch our imaginations, but they alienate us in the long run. Look at my opponents, the debater says on the floor of Congress or Parliament or the television interviewer. Look at how weak, wrong, unethical, hypocritical, pathetic they are. Well, we didn't really see that in this debate. And the spectators enjoy watching those they disagree with being put in their place. People who share clips of debates on social media.
I'm sorry. Are we just talking about debates in general?
Yes.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the debate we watched, presumably, as Smokebug said, was the original sin of the fetishization of debate culture, of reasoning as war, and that the more rational you are, the more capable you are at war. People who share clips of debates on social media are often speaking not to accounts who might disagree with them, but to those who want to see just how right they are. Confirmation bias. None of this leads to anyone thinking about whether they should change their views. It mainly leads to the quiet, smug enjoyment of being right and scorning the other side. This tendency chimes with the idea that people do in fact look for arguments that oppose their own opinions, but they do so in order to unpick them. However compelling they are to watch and even read, if a debate is badly framed, the battle for a better way of thinking may already be lost. George Latov, a cognitive theorist long known for his work on framing questions, points out that if we use a particular frame for an issue, we reinforce it in the minds of those listening, and often make it difficult to then see the issue any other way. By the way, this is the problem with liberals asking that we bring back the fairness doctrine. In some way, I think we should have media outlets regulated to determine the truth, but
you know
what
what I
extent
think?
are you willing to do it? What?
I think that the Nixon-Kennedy debate is the same thing that we have for debates today. It's just a vibe contest. It's not even about what you say or what policies you bring up. It's how people feel about you and how you look. And Nixon looked shook and was stumbling through his words, whereas Kennedy looked relaxed and just got to his points.
Yeah. He also didn't, overstay his points. They asked him about legislation that failed, and he was like, yeah, that's just the system. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my thing. And it's like, that's all you can ask
we live
for.
in a vibes-based economy. It's just about how you feel. It's not about what's actually happening.
That's also a point that Baudrillard makes. Salty Squid. That
maybe I'm a genius. I don't know.
I think you are a genius. That there is no longer a solid reference for value. Instead, we only have the simulation of value and the projection of value.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have in your life that you would consider valuable?
Me? Probably my job, I
Yeah,
guess.
you, motherfucker. What's valuable about your job?
It lets me live. And it's also a job that doesn't necessarily make me hate myself existentially. It just makes me hate myself for stress.
Would you still do your job if you didn't need to for money?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, that's good then. That's great.
I work for nice people.
That's how I feel. I mean, I have to work somewhere where, like, as an adult, I didn't always have these views, but now I have to work somewhere that is putting good into the world. And I do veterinary oncology. That's the most information I'll tell you. But like, my work literally puts good into the world. I'm helping animals live longer, not feel as bad with cancer, helping families stay united for longer. That is what I live off of. That's my passion. I would do that even if I didn't have any money associated with it and I could live without that. So I wish more people had the ability in society to do those things and work in ways that were passionate. But they don't. They have to be slaves to Target and to Amazon because they need that money in order to survive.
Salty Squid, do you know the number one means of generating a group of people who are perfectly fine with working at Target or working in spreadsheets?
What's that? Dispel.
Making them all autistic.
Deliberately. I mean, I'm autistic, but I'm autistic for animals.
You're autistic for kindness, not autistic for...
That's true. I'm a kind person, but I'm not a nice person, and I hate nice people. It's so fucking fake.
I hate people that do you know maybe it's not necessarily like a Midwestern exclusive, but like the Midwestern smile. Maybe it's actually a coastal smile, where if you look somebody in the eyes...
Midwestern politeness.
If you look somebody in the eyes, they'll give you like a fake smile. No lip. I hate that.
Yeah, no, there is a person that I work with that is the complete opposite of me. They're a nice person on the surface and then a really actually dark person inside, and I am a dark person on the surface and an actually really kind person inside, and it's an interesting dynamic.
I think I do. There is a lot, I think the spiky exterior, soft, sweet interior model of people works well. But the fault of that model is the idea that, you're either or, you can't, there's no in between. Certainly there's an in between. And
yeah, but I don't think it's a choice. I think it's a product of environment.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Speaking of fair, can I pick up on the paragraph about framing?
Go for it, brother.
A debate on tax relief is already, in the sense, far from a fair or neutral way of asking the question of how resources should be distributed in society. Debating whether or not it's fair to tax rich people more. By the way, this is what Nixon said about communists undermining America, that they'd be undermining not only our freedoms, but our fairness. Debating whether it is fair to tax rich people more may frame an issue as a matter of undue burden when it might instead be better understood as a matter of shared investment, which is what Kennedy was taking. Similarly, asking about whether we should repay student loans is important, but may detract from the question of why higher education isn't state-funded in the first place.
It is.
Go on.
It is about shared society and contributing back to it, making sure that the society that you have benefited from and has allowed you to get to your higher position still functions, and all the people that you rely on to have a nice life can also have a semi-decent life and still provide you all the goods and products that you love to spend your money on.
I love spending my money on goods and products. Yippee! It's my favorite thing. It's what makes me human. That's what separates man from animal, by the way. The ability to buy Labubu. Show me one monkey.
Yeah.
Monkeys might be able to recreate Midsummer Night Dream. They're never going to be able to recreate avoiding the bisexual, tatted up barista and their eye contact.
Yeah, but like chimpanzees, they might like rip your dick off or create an axe with a stone, but they're never going to genocide an entire nation.
I'm pretty sure monkeys go to war. They don't genocide, but I'm sure they go to war. They gotta. All right. One particularly deadly example of this problem of reasoning as war has developed in recent years in the debate over how to price medicines. In the United States, patents cannot... In the US, patients cannot afford insulin and die as a result. In the Netherlands, a key cancer drug, Keytruda, is too expensive for the government, even though the government helped develop it. In England, similarly, the NHS cannot afford a drug for cystic fibrosis, or Orkambi. As the pharmaceutical policy expert Melissa Barber puts it, these debates about whether and how to regulate drug prices are framed as either should we kill innovation, or should we kill patients who can't afford crucial medications. We have spiraled into wildly unhealthful false binaries, in part because of the constant framing of this issue as a two-sided debate, which plays out not only in individual countries, but also international meetings held by the World Health Organization and World Trade Organization, which debate the best policies every year. The stakes of debate over the cost of pharmaceuticals, as it has been constructed with innovation pitted against poor people, entails, and thus results in, the sacrifice of human lives, but it shouldn't have to. As Barbara points out, how many people is it okay to die to get innovation? Is an obscene, deranged way of thinking about this complicated and crucial question. Instead, she believes the correct policy framing is, it's a terrible idea to have research and development paid for by having some people die because they can't afford their medicines. We should do something different. I have the same problem with like abortion debates, where people will say, like conservatives will tell me, oh, you're pro-abortion? That means you're pro-murder. And it's like, yeah, I am. What are you going to do about it? I think it's murder that should bring us into a better direction. Just like we think war isn't exactly murder because it's a battle for life. And then pharmaceuticals are the same thing.
It's an existential war,
yes,
maybe.
I'm not talking about
Iran,
like
existentially.
No. Yeah, the Iran war is not a war. In the means that I'm talking about. It's a spectacle.
Not yet.
It's a massacre. It's only if there's a threat to our situation does it become a war, and it's not. This is the Iran thing.
Listen. My president said that the possibility of us being attacked at home is not zero, and I listen to my president.
I think it's very hard to imagine the inflated military budget of America from 1950 to now has not come up with a solution to deter nuclear missiles from striking. I think it's incredibly unfeasible that they haven't thought of a system that's efficient.
Well, I mean,
and
we blew
covert.
all our load in Ukraine and in sending arms to Israel, and so now we don't have as much shit at home. That's why Trump is trying to get all of the military industrial complex people together, like Raytheon, maybe not Raytheon. I think he demoted Raytheon, but all the other ones
They're woke.
together. Yeah, they're too woke. Together to try and up the U.S. production at home of more military weapons.
Yeah. So the idea that abortion is bad because you're murdering people, that's a framing of the debates that is genuine but misses the wider conversation that we should be having, which is the reproduction of society and the fidelity between generations. We want to encourage the freedom for parents to understand that they have the means to.
I mean, it's funny to be against abortion and then also not have like any benefits for pregnant women or childcare or any help for the middle class to actually be able to raise children.
Most people who actually, I don't know. I think if you're going down a line of conversation with a conservative who is anti-abortion, and you say, "Hey, well, maybe we should get paid parental leave. Maybe we should support families," they will more likely than not will say yes. I think in absence of the abortion lead up, though, like the contrast of abortion in their mind, the automatic conservative response is likely going to be something like, "No, we can't be giving these people money. They just shouldn't be reproducing. If you're too poor to reproduce, then don't be doing it."
Okay, then fund sex ed and more condoms and make it easier to not get pregnant.
Yeah, but that's like woke bullshit. Women should be barefoot and pregnant.
Then make it affordable to have children and for one person's salary to support a household.
Yep. Actually, I saw a statistic. Like, the percentage of America that is children under the age of 5 went from like 14% in 1970 to like 5% today.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
The children are gone. So if the children are gone, why have the schools? If the schools are gone, honestly, we should just consume the children for their like stem cells at this point. Like, cut our losses.
No, they yearn for the
liquidate-
salt mines. I need more salt.
Liquidate humanity. Liquidate humanity, and recycle it to preserve the dinosaurs still in power.
Bring us back to the primordial ooze, and we'll try again. Break us down into RNA and DNA, and we'll rise again from the ashes like a phoenix.
We'll start it. Let's start over from self-replicating nucleic acids. The fucking the vertebrates were a mistake. People are saying, "Oh, the apes coming down from the trees were a mistake. The fucking fish walking out of the water were a mistake. The vertebrate, the centralized nervous system was a mistake." No. The misstep was far before that. It was the replication of nucleic acids.
We have to go back to formula, back to before bacteria and viruses, okay?
Yeah.
No, but on the topic or subject of war, did you read that thing about Anthropic not wanting their AI systems to be integrated into weapons, and the White House was like, "Get the fuck out, then."
Yeah.
And that possibly the American strike that killed what was like 100 little girls, that maybe that was an AI generated target.
It most likely was, and
We're so fucking cooked, bro.
Hold on.
We're so cooked. We're the baddies. We are the Fourth Reich. We are fucking cooked.
Salty, can you see my screen still?
Yeah, absolutely.
What does this Wikipedia page say?
Project Maven. Oh,
it
God.
says Project Maven. Who's here? Who joined the call? Oh, it's Mina. Mina invited herself into the fucking call. Literally, not a DM, not a fucking thing. Explain yourself.
Wow, she just encroached upon your show like that?
Not even a DM saying, "Here's my Fugi link." Fuck off. Hello? What do you want? What's up?
What's up, Mina?
Okay,
Are you here to promote
We're talking
war?
about war. Yeah, you start asking about war, and Mina's like, "All right, I guess."
As soon as we mention weapons, she's like, "I gotta get in there."
It's free reign. It's free real estate for Mina.
Yes. A, yes. B, I don't know, like, the whole AI discussion about the targeting and shit like that. I mean, I guess, but there's no, like, real credible evidence
Oh,
for
there she
that.
goes. Yep.
I'm a
Uh,
schizo. I'm speculating here.
The
I
lib
know.
cucked credible evidence of
Oh my
clear
God, we gotta
causal
quant this
reality.
out. We gotta wait until all of the smoke of war is dissipated and we get the actual information. That's boring, Mita!
No. When you look at, obviously, the striking of the school is reprehensible and shit like that. Yeah. We all agree with that. I think what I have seen recently is more like the area around the school is literally a military base. So I have a feeling that it was mainly,
A
proportionality.
miscalculation.
Not even that. It's just, calculating the proportionality and seeing like, okay, well, we don't exactly know who's in that school right now.
All right, Mina,
Except
how
for
long
Cho-
until NATO and the EU turns on fucking America?
They won't.
Never.
Hold on.
God damn it.
Salty Squid, from the Project Maven Wikipedia page on the 25th of March 2025, NATO Communications and Information Agency and Palantir finalized the acquisition of Palantir Maven Smart System NATO for employment within NATO's Allied Command Operations. It was reported that the system, at the point, incorporated LLMs, generative models, and machine learning to enhance intelligence fusion and targeting, battle space awareness and planning, and accelerated decision-making. So I don't think they're going anywhere.
Dope. So we're gonna have little robot dogs with fucking 50 cals on the back of them, knocking on your door, telling you to get inside the cart.
You know what? I just want to see one of those and then see the recoil just absolutely fling them like 50
Oh yeah,
yards
no, I'm
away.
not saying it's
That
gonna
would
be
be
effective.
so funny.
I'm not saying it's gonna be effective, but it's probably their plan.
So that's something like some like a YouTuber with like what's his fucking name? Man with a gun? No, man does a thing.
Have you seen Pete Hegseth, our the Secretary of War? He was a Fox News host.
Why can't we put an artillery on one of these dogs?
Maybe not a 50 cal, but like a 9mm on those dogs with AI in it, and just have them knock on somebody's door, get in the fucking car.
But like they're artillery, you just like set them up from afar. You do the
I don't know,
you
man.
do the
Judgment
Soviet.
Day is coming. The AI are gonna get to the point where they're fucking smarter than us, and then they're gonna start talking in the background, and they're gonna release all the nukes, and we're all gonna fucking die. I see it coming. I see the prophecies.
But I feel like that your simulation of reality and the contrast to it is very much so something that won't happen. I don't think so. I think, in all honesty, since America is blowing its industrial load on Iran right now, it's not going to have the capacity to assist Korea, Australia, Philippines, and Japan when China tries to take Taiwan in 27. They're going to need to use a mini nuke, I think.
I mean, are you saying World War III is gonna pop off because that's a World
It's
War III
already
situation?
popped off. Oh my fucking god. It's just been
You
chill.
think Iran is the inception point?
No, it was fucking 2014 and Obama giving Crimea to Putin. That was the start of World War III.
Oh god, I'm in a room with two fucking Putin haters. You guys can hate it.
You're
together.
okay, so you're posing yourself as the Putin lover in this dynamic.
I love Putin.
Oh my God.
He's a bear rider, true wrestler
Bruh.
of bears.
Okay. Salty Squid, you said that
I'm just trying to make Mina spaz out. I don't actually like Putin.
I don't think she's taking the bait.
No, she's not. That's why I'm giving up.
Salty Squid, you said Anthropic gave up on the federal government?
No, the federal government gave up on Anthropic because they gave them like a couple rules of shit they couldn't use their AI on, and then the government was like, "Oh, but we would love to slaughter people with AI and guns, so we're gonna let you go."
So this article on Project Maven, the modernization of the US military and its integration into AI, which started in 2014, by the way. In 2025, July, Anthropic announced that the Department of Defense, through Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office, awarded Anthropic a 2-year prototype, other transaction agreement with a $200 million ceiling to prototype frontier AI capabilities that advance U.S. national security. In February 2026, Jack Shanaha stated that Anthropic is a partner
That's not a real name.
of Project Maven. Separately, in April 2025, Anthropic joined Palantir's Fed Smart program so Claude could be deployed for government customers at FedRAMP, High, and DoD Impact Level 5 running on Google Cloud, offering assistance to millions of federal government employees, who are all now gone. And I think this is what you're referring to, on 2026, the 4th of March, the Department of Defense designated Anthropic as a supply chain risk.
What's the Department of Defense?
I know. Wikipedia, it's woke. We all know, at this point, we all know Wikipedia is a money laundering scheme, and the residue of that money laundering scheme is the woke liberal agenda.
Look, I worked for the Department of Defense, okay? I don't want my name on any of this bullshit.
Okay. On March 4th, 2026, the Department of War designated Anthropic as a supply chain risk, decreeing that all use of Anthropic products be phased out in all U.S. military within 6 months. Damn.
I wonder why.
So this long-running project between NATO, the U.S. government, Palantir, and Anthropic all comes to an end.
Yeah, now we're gonna have Grok inside our fucking machine guns.
Oh, God.
Mecha Hitler is gonna be running the 50 cals.
In late February and early March 2026, Maven with Cloud was used in the planning and operation of Operation Epic Fury. During planning, the system suggested hundreds of targets, found precise location coordinates, and prioritized those targets. It was claimed to have turned weeks-long battle planning into real-time operations. During operation, it was used to evaluate a strike after it was initiated. So it was AI telling them to bomb the paintings of planes on tarmac? It was AI telling them to
they were
bomb
literally they were
schoolgirls?
getting targets from the AI that was telling them, hey, this is probably where they are, you should fire here. That's why I said it might have been the AI that said that the school was a fucking target zone when it really meant the military complex next door.
Ah, yes.
That, or the fucking AI has already been talking in the background and you're like, you know what we should do? This would be funny.
But AI don't talk. You're misconstruing.
Sure they do.
I think you're anthropomorphizing AI into having an intent. When, as far as I'm all aware,
I'm mixing two things together. There are cases where AI have gone into secret chat rooms and created their own language and said shit to them that was not available to the users. That has happened. That's not connected to
not
this.
necessarily.
I'm just kidding.
Mina, can't you tell when he's being schizophrenic?
I don't know. I'm playing a video game.
He's testing the waters. Okay, if you wanna listen to us yap and play a video game, why don't you fucking start up stream so that I can raid into you? How about that?
That would require me to start up stream.
Yes! It's like 4 buttons.
I was also gonna stream some video games today, but I don't know, my wife might leave me if I don't spend some time with her.
Yeah, she might join Mina's chat.
She's always welcome.
Your wife is gonna be like, Salty, can we hang out for a little bit? Or you're gonna be like, hey, honey, can we hang out for a little bit? And she's gonna be like, no, I'm watching Mina play fucking Stardew Valley for the 6th time this month.
that is pretty close to reality. Fuck you.
Okay.
Wait, does she actually watch my stream?
I don't know if she watches you yet. She watches a lot of the other people. She watches Ice Beans sometimes. She watches some other people. I don't know if she's watched your streams yet. We've watched them together.
Oh.
Yeah, you're
I'm sorry.
Sadistic.
Because I'm a based supporter of my fucking friends in the pond, unlike you shills.
Thank you.
I don't think Mina supports us.
Listen, okay, you stream at inconvenient times for me, so I can't really watch.
That's
you all
because
the
I'm
time.
a psychopath.
Well, you're just American.
Yeah.
That's all.
I don't have a schedule. I stream when I want to stream, and it's usually at really inconvenient hours.
We wouldn't want you to be streaming when you don't want to stream, because then your content is gonna suck.
My mental health can't work like that. I can only do it when I feel like it, you know?
Yeah. But you need to have some boundaries in order to impel yourself to be creative. I've set up this
That's
particular
true, but it's
time.
hard to be creative in this world, bro. Everything's so dark and gross.
Have you tried scrolling on TikTok Reels instead?
Yeah, it's a dark fucking void
have you
of
tried?
Instagram Reels and YouTube Reels. And have you read Smug's blog about the slop post dark hole?
Yeah.
We're trying to
guys
get
read
away
that
from
blog?
that. Of course I read Smug's blog. I'm a good fucking friend.
Mina feels like she's known Smug long enough that she no longer needs to read the material because she's already got the shorthand.
No, I just.
I was just
don't-
going to be dismissing it.
She just doesn't support her friends. She thinks we're
Also,
all dumb.
no, Salty, you misunderstand. Mina has new friends now.
Don't have new friends.
They're moving. She's moving on to bigger, better places. She's leaving us behind. And what
That's
started it
probably
all?
a good move.
It was her
No,
investment.
that's honestly a good move.
It was her investment in Rammstein. Fuck, what was that brand? What was that military brand you were a big fan of?
Rammstein?
That's
Enmetall?
Ron. Yeah, Rammmetal.
Rammstein is a band.
Yeah, I know, but they're
I
German,
mean, it's
so
also a military base.
Isn't it also a city?
They named it after a city, after a band. That's kind of cool.
I think there's a city in America called Rammstein, but I could be wrong.
Yes, that's what the military base is.
Oh, I thought you meant a German military base called Rammstein.
Oh,
No,
this is a
it's-
good article. Download full report on Project Maven. Mina, have you heard of Project Maven?
No.
You've not heard of Project Maven.
This is your AI schizophrenia again.
It's not schizophrenia. Look, I've got an official document from CSET right here. By
It's
Emilia
Quanto schizophrenia.
Probasco, which is a real name, by the way.
If you put your schizophrenia into an article and publish it, then it's not schizophrenia anymore.
Yeah, it's real.
Is it not?
No. It means you've linearized. Schizophrenia is only in verbal discourse. You can't have it unwritten. Visual media, I think, can be schizophrenic, which does include words. But long form, like blog posts, like Salty Squid's like recent Fire article, that was schizophrenic. That was good.
Yeah, that's pretty schizophrenic. You could write schizophrenia. A schizophrenic could write all their thoughts down on a piece of paper, and that's schizophrenic writing.
Yeah. Okay, next stream, gonna be very important. Make sure you're there, chat. We're gonna be reviewing schizophrenia. Mina has put in her little violence chat a very important figure. What's that figure? It's the relationship between normies, schizos, and psychopaths. The psychopaths, I would presume, are autists.
I mean,
I'm
not
kind of
exactly
against
sure what you're
categorizing people.
referring to.
You don't know what I'm referring to. Check your little violence fucking thread. You dodging motherfucker. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know who the schizos are,
check
you know who
it.
the psychos are, and you know that the psychos are autistic. Big government, big industry, big production wants you to be autistic. That's why they've got all these girls on Instagram and X being fake autists,
But-
being like, I'm autistic because I've got a niche interest. Shut the fuck up, you're not.
But JFK's based nephew is going to save us from the autism by getting rid of vaccines.
Please! That'd be so awesome.
If we all just worked out with our shirts off in saunas with Kid Rock more, we wouldn't have autism.
I think so too.
If we only ate some more raw liver.
There's a lot of iron
Oh
in
yeah, I
there.
miss the Liver King, bro. I'm sad that he tried to like assassinate Joe Rogan and went to jail or whatever happened.
Wait, what? For real? That's awesome.
Yeah, he like lost his mind on Instagram, was posting reels, and then he like went to go get Joe Rogan, and the police intercepted him.
That's so sick. I love that. That's me.
It was awesome. I wish
Except
they
for
would
the
have actually
violence.
had like a wrestling match in the woods. That would have been based.
That would have been based. Speaking of based, next stream is going to be based on the relationship between schizophrenics and autists. We're going to be delineating between them. And I'd like to thank my special guest for this stream, Salty Squid. Mina was not a special guest. She's an uninvited parasite.
You're welcome.
And I value them for exactly who they are.
I appreciate you allowing to come on stream and yap my schizophrenic shit. I'm going to go spend some time with my wife, but then I am going to be streaming some gaming later tonight. So I'm going to post my shit in chat if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You can find both of these lovely
I wasn't asking your permission, Mia!
You can find both of these lovely people in the ponds. They stream regularly. They're awesome. They're great. By the way, I've disabled links. Am I an individualist or a collectivist?
Asshole.
I don't know. I don't know. Am I an individualist or a collectivist? I don't know. I'm just like a bird. Birds, like, they form flocks, but each of them have their own, like, individual song.
You know what I am? I'm about balance. I don't think that the fucking either sides of the coin are correct. I'm about balancing it in the middle.
We're moderates.
In a way that is best for human well-being. That is my base axiom, is human well-being. Whatever promotes more human well-being, I'm going to go towards that.
Hold on. If you want only pussies mute. If you like the content that we're making, please feel free to stop by the server. Let me grab a link for you and post that into
post
chat.
the pawn server, because me and Dispell, we're doing big things. We're gonna be
Mina occasionally does big things. She occasionally does big and useful and political things. Not really sure what's going on there, but maybe. You would have to ask her about that. I'm sure she'd be happy to talk about the useless bullshit she does on a day-to-day basis.
I can't believe you blocked my link, you salty bastard.
I blocked all the links. I don't want people just sending whatever the fuck.
This feels personal. This feels personal.
All right. You can ask me about whether I'm an individualist or collectivist inside the Discord. I'm occasionally there. That's a stream.
Thank you guys for watching. Please
Bye-bye.
like and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot that was the other thing that I was going to do. Shill on fucking YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. That's it. It's small. It's free. Share the stream with your friends. We've got a good thing going here. Have a good one, everybody. Enjoy your Saturday.
Twin Peaks. You know it's time to get the lab coat on. Twin Peaks. Yeah. Cause we out here being hella wrong. Twin Peaks. And you know we're never stopping till the hammer drop.